Tati, make sure you're speaking into the mic.
So I tested it and I thought it was better. I thought I figured out where I'm supposed to talk, like right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
good.
gotta talk like right
No,
here.
you're good.
Not quite that.
Oh, it's just because I turn my head everywhere, so I was like, just.
Oh yeah, it's because you move.
It's like the ADD. It's the ADD.
That was like the clearest you've been.
Oh, like right,
No, he
right,
just
right
wants you
here.
to
Just do that. Put it in your mouth.
No, you guys tried to take pictures the last time.
Armie,
I wasn't
leave
paying
it.
attention.
All right.
Eat me.
So we're recording. Everybody good to go?
I was about to eat a cashew, but that's all.
You eat that cashew. And there's the start of the show. Welcome back, everybody. It's the next week, maybe.
Did you make it to this week, or maybe was that last week's goal? Did you make it?
The pity laugh
Anybody?
Rebecca just gave you. It was very adorable.
Okay, who's
What?
first? What happened this week?
I guess circle, dot, dot. I got my second cootie shot.
Hey.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Why?
They're playing a different game.
I was gonna say, I was like, why announce it that way?
Why not? I mean, it's for the
I
entertainment value of it.
Alright, show
COVID
of
is the
hands.
super cootie.
It is.
It is.
It really is. Show of hands, who hasn't gotten theirs yet?
Well, you're all
Alright,
over
so
30.
all the ladies.
You're all over
Well,
30,
yeah.
and now everyone in New York State over 30 can get it.
That was official today,
Mhm.
March 30th, which is when we're
It's not-
recording.
Public info, Sheyne. We're all
Yeah.
16 and a half here, okay? So, Mishma.
Sorry.
I'm with Rebecca on that.
I did
Yeah,
feel
let's have
some
another
type of way.
consider.
I'm young in here, okay? That's what matters.
Where it
Yeah.
matters.
In El Corazon,
In mi corazón.
El Heart.
Yep, El Harto.
Rebecca, when you say you have to say it like the stereotype that you hate so much.
Mi corazón, my heart, mother, mi madre. I feel like this.
Mm-hmm. No, I just want to sound like I'm from like one of those In the Heights musical things. Except I like when he does what he does for the most part, but not anyone else. Not when Dora the Explorer does it. So
I'm excited for that
What,
movie.
you don't like the whole, come on, Vominos,
I'm excited
let's
for that
go.
I love this show.
Delicioso.
Delicioso.
no, you gotta do yum yum yum.
Yes.
Oh,
Delicioso.
I'm so sorry.
Yums.
I forgot the accent for that.
Oh,
so.
can we get that on, can we get that? You know.
So what-
And go.
You want me to have a soundbite?
Yes.
I didn't have that prepared.
The one time you're not ready.
I didn't have any sound bites last week. I was letting
No,
us do our thing.
I was more meaning for you
I had
to
this.
record her so that you can use it later.
I should, right? There's a lot of good sound bites from the last 3 weeks that I should really record with you guys.
Yeah, there are
Especially
actually
between
tons
Beks
of
and
memes.
Darius, there's some really good shit.
There's some
Darius,
really good shit. There's some
sassy
really good
Darius.
memes.
I still love Lion King.
It's an awesome
That's
movie.
not a show. That's a movie.
I said I'll give you a show and a movie.
Oh.
Next time, listen.
Sheyne said a lot of embarrassing stuff last time.
I was really drunk last week.
I
You're
digress.
squealing like a piggy.
I digress.
I digress. I say that in real life. I'm sweating right now because it's hot in here and I can't have the air on. So,
But I digress.
but I digress.
But you were doing like Howard Dean stuff. You're like,
Ah! That's me animated. You should. That was Ashley can tell you in the other podcasts that we kind of do. Like
No, he would just get angry. He was just always angry about the Mets and everything that they
If I was a
have
Mets fan, I'd be
promised.
angry too.
Everything that they promised, like,
we'll
were
talk
they,
in
like,
October,
not winning or
Darius.
something?
We'll talk in
I
October.
mean, I don't know. Was it the fact that they weren't winning, or is it the fact
It was
that
the
their
fact that
players
ownership
just
was
really
shit.
dumb shit all the time?
It's because ownership was shit and we were cursed,
Yeah.
but now we've turned the corner. It's a new day, and yes,
Okay, and I'm not saying this as like a Yankees fan trying to poo-poo on anything, right? That's not me.
Poo-poo.
I have your back
I
on
don't
whatever
go
you
there.
say. I'm just gonna automatically agree right
But-
now. I'm just saying.
someone
But-
mute Rebecca.
You can't say
No bias, no
you
bias.
turn the corner until the season starts.
You can when you've had the
You
ownership we
can.
had.
No. The ownership has definitely turned the corner. As far as it,
But here's the thing.
Everybody else goes
What
to
they're
the
doing
scene.
now is taking the pieces that have come up in the last few years. The fact that all of our starters are all stars right now. Literally every position is an all star right now. which we haven't been able to say that in well over a decade. And I mean, granted, they didn't go hardcore in the free market, but they did make some smart moves and some really great trades.
The Lindor for me was enough. I saw that and I said, man, they mean business. Dude. Yeah.
And when you've had...
I'm excited to go to the stadium and actually watch them.
And I get what you're saying, Darius, about... We'll get right back to that, actually, about, like, you can't really say something... Nothing's happened on the field yet, as far as... But when you've had the ownership holding you back the way we have, new ownership that is this passionate, changes. Like, the second... Like, the second George Steinbrenner died, you guys turned the corner to being a different sort of team where it was more penny pinching, not even penny pinching necessarily with the Yankees, that's like a ridiculous oxymoron, but like a different style.
The payroll.
Exactly. It was a completely different style.
That wasn't a thing.
Exactly. So in that way, it's a new game, and you know we're within the top 3 conversation for likely to win the World Series in almost every analysis there is, which is incredible.
As well, you should be.
But it's also the Yankees and the Dodgers. Right. It's those 3. It's us 3 teams, and then the Astros that everyone's talking about. So we'll see. But as far as this,
Are you an Astros fan?
No, I'm just saying, like they're in the top.
Oh, I saw you like.
No, he said Yankees and the Astros.
Did you saw that, Beks, right?
That's what I meant.
Who, me?
Huh?
What?
No, you know someone.
Sphincter says what?
I saw that too because she had the same reaction. Like what?
Wait, Sphincter says what?
No, he was just like he was super pixelated for a minute. I don't know. Shayne's been going.
Oh, you were.
Is it me? Am I the problem?
You're the problem.
Shayne's been going in and out for me.
Too.
I'm fine on my end. That's weird.
No, you've been like Mr. Roboto hardcore, so I keep making these weird faces.
I gotta be like that guy at Chappelle's show.
Is that you running, Shayne?
No. Well, the announcement for tickets are going on sale for teams went out today, even though the first, month they're still in question as to whether or not they're still going to let fans in. So, you can buy tickets come May, but you can't buy tickets yet for April.
That's interesting.
So
I wonder if they're going to, because normally when they do, opening day, they have, all of these, things happening. I wonder if they're going to delay that to when they're able to bring people into the stadium.
I don't think so. I think it's.
Don't they do fireworks and stuff too as well, or is that just a typical if that's a specific day every
That's
week?
usually in the playoffs or the All-Star game. Usually, sometimes they'll have a flyover. Different teams have their different traditions. Oh, should we get this which I think is a curse? This rose. It looks like a funeral arrangement. This rose horseshoe for good luck.
Cheaply.
It's really we don't need this horseshoe made out of roses that literally looks and it's on the stand you put next to a casket, and I'm like, well, that's fitting for the Mets. So let's hopefully we do away with that. So they'll do a flyover. Someone will sing. This year it'll probably be a bunch of healthcare workers, rightfully so, going out there and probably all the stadiums, the military out the flag, and they'll have healthcare workers come out, first responders, and someone, probably some doctor or nurse or someone will sing the national anthem, and that'll be that. But they say they're going to have fans come opening day, which for everyone I think is in 2 days.
Oh, yes.
I got my drinks lined up so I don't trip on anything.
I was going to say you said drinks plural, but she came bravado.
I'm not drinking tonight. Because those
after last.
No, those two. I will next week. I'll be very drunk next week.
Yeah, what happened?
Well,
Darius, you're supposed to drink this week.
Are we exchanging who drinks?
No.
Well, Rebecca always drinks.
I have drinks, but they're just soda and coffee.
I'm back with my refrigerator.
I just have my coldest water bottle.
I got water 1.
Product place.
Water 2. Water 3.
This is Montauk hard seltzer, and it's
How did you say that?
Good.
How did you say that?
Montauk.
Montauk.
Hard seltzer. Montauk.
You have to say it like Billy Joel.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the same grocery store 3 times in 1 week. I was like, this is starting to look embarrassing. So I went to the supermarket.
Why don't you just get it delivered?
Oh, I saw that they had an app for that, so they delivered it.
And then that
It's
way
hard
you
to
don't have
get
to
mail.
look at anybody. It's always a different person, it's not even mail.
But here's the thing:
just
a lot of her
schedule when it comes to
deliveries,
your door.
go to the store downstairs, And if they find out she's cheating on them with somebody else, there's gonna be problems.
When you said it, all of her deliveries go to the store downstairs, I thought something completely different.
What did you think?
Damn, Ashley.
I mean, I know what you thought, but I want to hear you say it.
Lil Nas videos.
Inspired.
The fact that you thought about it as a store is just...
Yeah, what are you trying to say about Rebecca?
I was thinking delivery downstairs.
He said the store.
Transactions have
Delivery to the store. I'm like, now that's problematic.
Wait, Rebecca, did you just say that your name
The
tag
candy
is...
shop.
Rebecca, did you just say your name tag this week is going to be the store? Because I think now it is.
I said it is not the candy shop.
Oh.
You know, from
Not
the
the candy
50
shop.
Cent
Yeah.
song.
I like that song
Yeah.
too. You see, we're bringing up all these good old songs.
Well, I want to know
Song.
what do you think of Rebecca? Do you think that it's a store down there?
Well, no, I mean, I thought you were trying to take that to a place and trying to, say something
Sweet,
about
like
her.
a lollipop?
Exactly. Because I want to lift the rap.
Now and later.
Can we keep this going? Who's next?
That's one
can I
hot
ask this
tamale.
question? Do you guys call them now and laters? Or do you guys call... Because I grew up calling them now and
That's a
later.
hard one.
Now
Wait,
a
Now
that?
and laters. Now a later.
now a later. Now a later.
No. I would say now and later's.
Like Terminator.
Now and
Yeah.
laters.
Nah, it's now a later. It's
No, now and
But
later.
there's
Now
no
or.
or.
No, it's not even or.
Where do you get
No,
that?
it's
I'm with
now
Darius.
and later.
Laters.
Now and later's.
Is it now and later's?
That's the official name, but they, sometimes people don't know what to call themselves. So I'm going to call them now and laters.
I only ever call them now and later's. Now and later's just sound
Now and later's?
Or for candy.
I feel like that's a annihilator, like now and later, like how you guys are saying it.
Now and
I'm
later.
gonna live. So from now on, everything's gonna be however we want to pronounce it. Darius. Cheyenne.
People actually call me that.
I know. I've seen Shayna die.
So funny story. I was texting Sheyne, and I have a candidate, and she's female, and her name is Sheyne, and she spells it Shane. And at some point, you said something, and I responded to her.
Oh no.
It
That
wasn't
felt really
anything.
bad.
It wasn't anything terrible, but
That's
I was
rare.
like, oh,
That's
I
rare.
was like, that's not for you.
Imagine you're like, suck it, bitch. And they're like,
Well, no, she said she was feeling sick, and in my head, I thought you were talking about the vaccine and how you were feeling.
Mm.
Oh,
So it wasn't anything terrible, but it could have
it
been.
sounded crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just for a second. And then I called her because she also had just gotten her teeth taken out. I think it was her wisdom teeth. So I called her. I was like, how you feeling?
Why is she telling you she doesn't feel like she's a candidate, right?
And candidates, you will not believe the stuff that I learn about some of these people. I know one of my candidates' aunts likes poetry, that she goes to the salon with her mother every single day.
So you're
And
part
she
therapist.
doesn't like it.
So you're part
I know
therapist,
things
basically.
about people. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's how your week has gone. Bex, how's your week been?
I took Monday off in hopes that I would get stuff done, but I still feel tired, and I've been like on a weird emotional roller coaster. I'm just like sick of everything. I want to go on vacation.
I agree with you there.
Dead ass.
That is why I want
Just
the
bunch of
vaccine.
trash. Yeah, I kind of want to get the vaccine so I can just be like, I gotta use my sick days now too.
Go and get it, man. 2 weeks after, you'll be
I'm not
right
30
as rain.
yet, remember?
Oh, that's right. You're 16. Sorry. Yes. Yes. The
Suffering.
store is
Still feeling some
16.
type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Darius, how's
'Cause,
your
like
week?
last year I was like 29, and then this year I wasn't.
29 again.
Yeah, and then my boyfriend's like, "Oh yeah, you're eligible now because it's 30 and above," and it just hit me, and I'm just like, "Damn."
Someone's sleeping on the
Yes, I-
couch tonight.
Just celebrated the first anniversary of your 29th birthday. That's how you say it.
Oh.
Well, you know what makes it worse, and people hate it when I do this, and I've probably done this to Ashley and Darius, is that you're really only, whatever age you are is just the number of years you've completed. You're actually living the next year. So like, say you're 30 that's how many years you've completed. You're actually living your 31st year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just like my mother. Oh.
Thanks, Dad.
And people hate that. And one of my exes fought me on this for a good 6 months. She could not grasp the actual logistics of that.
Do I know this ex?
You may have, because she's a Mets fan. Like, sometimes... I think, one of those days that, like, I was at the stadium and I was, like, making arounds from person to person to person. It was like, she was there. Anyways.
I thought you said making out with person to person to person.
That sounds like Sheyne.
You've done that as well.
I make out with Mr. Met quite often,
He
actually.
just makes his rounds.
Is that what the
you
Mets do to
You
you?
definitely make out with
Doctor,
Mr. Met quite
doctor.
often.
Darius, in fairness, we all make out with Mr. Met because he's a little bit questionable about like his morals. But
Round and
jokes
supple.
aside,
Damn, what about Mrs. Met?
most of the time it's not even a missus in there.
What about the kids?
You never? They forgot about them. They left them on the side of the road.
Wait.
Listen,
One time I slapped Mrs. Met's ass by accident.
Yeah. I don't understand baseball and what?
Accident.
So Mrs. Met, let me tell you about Mrs. Met real quick. All right, this is a nice diversion. She's a voluptuous woman, and I like voluptuous women. She's got the breastises, and she's got an ass for days. Now, I know friends who work at the stadium, and well, first what happened was me and one of my exes was there, and we ran to Mr. and Mrs. Met, and so we took a picture. It was like Mr. Met over here, me, Mrs. Met, and my ex. And so then afterwards, you have your hands around them, pictures taken, and I go like that. But because her ass is like a shelf, I'll use my paper towels. I was like,
Always with the props.
and I go, I'm so sorry. And she just goes, and so I spoke to a friend who works there, and I was like, if you know the person who plays Mrs. Met, can you just apologize for me? Because I did not mean to slap her ass. And he was like, oh, don't worry, it's all padding. It was probably a dude in there at the time. So don't worry about it.
There you go.
The ass and the breasts are completely fake.
That's how you knew that your ex wasn't the one, right? You're like, you never like it when I do it to you. Sorry.
What?
It's been a long day.
No, she liked it when I did that to her.
There was this thing that was like,
I had to look them up. I had to look her up. I'm like, what the?
You see that booty?
what are we talking about?
You see Mrs. Met's booty?
No, I wasn't looking at her booty. I was.
I want to look at it, but I'm recording. So.
Who
You
was
have your
the
phone.
catcher that had the really nice butt?
Anthony Recker.
Hmm.
Oh,
Look up that booty.
very quick.
That's a booty for days.
He had a booty twice the size of Derek Jeter's. And remember how the women used to love Derek Jeter's ass?
What's his name
That's a
again?
lot.
And he's
Anthony
a catcher, so he's
Anthony
like
Recker.
I need to do. Yeah, this is for research.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up for research too.
Anthony
there's
R.E.
literally like a
Anthony
CKER.
Recker's butt.
Yeah, there's actually a fan club page for it on
there's
Instagram
a
or
Twitter
something. Or Twitter.
page based on it.
Oh.
So.
Do you have
Oh my
it saved, Ashley?
No, I don't.
Her
This was
comments are
a
highlighted
trivia
on that
question
page.
on the last podcast.
Ashley got her blue check just by following that page and commenting so much.
Does he know about this fan club? Because I feel like he's giving us a lot of
Oh my
content.
God.
He does. He does.
Well, no, he's a catcher, so he's
Was
like
a
in that
catcher.
position.
That
Like,
doesn't mean
oh,
anything. A lot of catchers don't have that ass.
Over a fence, you know. He's not even playing it. He's So they're like, I don't think that's for baseball.
I love how your both of your fingers was also
That's
like
just
on his butt
spreading
cheek.
his-
Putting it away.
So right now, for those listening, Rebecca took a picture of Anthony Recker's ass, him bent over,
I didn't
and
save
she put
it. I didn't
two
save it.
fingers so she can expand and zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and go out and go in and out of his ass over and over again with her two fingers.
That's not how it should be described.
That is exactly what she just did. I don't know what you're
That's-
talking about.
That's not. That's
That
not how it
wasn't
happened.
the most
So
accurate.
yeah, Darius, it
Well,
sounds like your week has been crazy.
Yeah, well, there's nothing you proud.
So one time I'm at the stadium, right, and I'm like standing. I'm in like the standing room because the seats were too hot. It was like in the sun, and there's a group of gay guys all there, like a group of 10 gay guys who went to the game, and there was like a Harvey Firestein, not Weinstein, a Harvey Firestein sounding guy. You know, that guy. Oh my God, I gotta call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer from Independence Day. And like
Weinstein says all the same things.
True. And so every time he was the big Mets fan, so Anthony Recker was on the team, he's like, okay, boys, wait for it. Now batting, number 20, Anthony Recker. Oh my God, baby, yes. And it was the funniest fucking thing, because all the guys who didn't give a shit about the game, the second Anthony Recker was up at bat, they were like, yes! And it was really funny. It was funny watching, like, the really uptight Long Island, Staten Island, kind of like white, misogynistic asshole sports guys there get really uncomfortable by a bunch of gay guys being completely proud of who they are, drooling over a dude's ass on the field. It was, my ex and I were dying of laughter. We were just like, we're going to stand here the rest of the game because these guys are better than the fucking game. And it was all thanks to Anthony Recker's ass.
There's more than one reason to enjoy baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's the little activities that happen, you know, in between the innings.
In the store.
I mean, that's how I got through
and the
wrestling.
booty and you know,
that's how I got through WWE days when my stepfather and my brother would watch it, and I'm just like, okay, I guess the cutest one is the one I want to win. So that was about it.
It's just like a conversation about hall passes where she's just like, I just picked the guys who I want to fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what all
keep it simple.
are about.
Chin, what was this?
I'm so upset because I found out Alessia's been in Brooklyn for like the last few weeks because she posted on her page. Really? And like, I'm just like, I thought I felt something close by.
Did you sense
it was
the
like,
disturbance of the
yeah, it was like when Vader felt Obi-Wan. I feel a
atmosphere.
disturbance I haven't felt since, and I feel it. And, you know.
Where'd you feel it?
In my arm where I got the
Sheyne
shot.
senses were tingling.
It was in my store.
I for a minute I was thinking of Mean Girls, where the girl was saying that she could, you know, sense the rain. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I was like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, where do you feel it?
So Darius, how's your week been?
Yeah, good line. My week has been okay. I've been I know that we're all aware that the Derek Chauvin murder trial has been has started. So I've just been, you know, kind of keeping my eye on that, not plugging in too much because it evokes some, you know, heavy emotions. But still trying to just stay updated on things that are happening day to day. So I'm not like one of those people watching for a play-by-play, but I want to be informed of what happens day to day. So, you know, just kind of plugging into that and just life. I'll reveal later in the podcast, you know, some weeks down the road, some of the things I've been working on. I'll tell you guys when we stop recording, and that's called a tease for you there. So keep watching, see when I reveal. But I'll let you guys know. I've just been dealing with some other stuff. But as always, this is a highlight of my week, so I'm excited to chop it up with you guys.
Well, so keeping in mind, you know, staying on top of the most topical
We
things.
didn't talk about Tati's week.
Oh, well, Tati.
It's okay. I mean, shit happens.
That hurts.
It's okay. I learned about baseball today. I mean, I didn't learn much, but
Was that your whole
Something
week? When I say week, I mean like from the last 2 days.
So it's just not that eventful for me to feel like I have a good story other than, you know, no, it's not working. It's not coming. Anyways, but I have did the same thing that Darius did with the information that's been coming out. There's been a lot of stuff going out that's getting a lot of people angry. I have made my comments here and there, but really have stayed away because it just seems that people are angry. People are angry for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of shitty things going on.
Right.
And I mean, I know that I am only emotionally equipped to handle so much. So, and I used to be so invested, and lately I've done that where I just take a couple steps back, put my phone down, just try not to stay on social media, you know, and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I originally was like, should I put the trial on the itinerary for tonight, the rundown? But I was like, we've got another pretty much 4 weeks, they estimate, of the trial, and it's just going to get worse. And I've been infuriated by it. Today, I believe the gentleman's name is Donald Williams. I won't get too much into it, but he clapped back, and it was the highlight of my day. Because they're trying to put everybody else on trial, except for Derek Chauvin, of course. Well, the defenses. But we have, unfortunately, many weeks ahead of seeing what happens with that. And I was talking with some people today about what, if in the likely scenario he's acquitted, then it's going to make the LA riots after Rodney King look like child's play, and in my opinion, rightfully so. And it's going to be something we will most definitely get into in the weeks to come, because whatever the outcome, it's going to change the world.
It's going to be big.
I pray that you're right, Sheyne. And this, before we dive into what we're going to talk about, I pray that you're right. I don't know why. I feel like it won't. I feel like Breonna's. I feel like we could have said that about Breonna Taylor's trial, and I don't feel like much has changed.
Or Eric Gardner.
Maybe that's just me. Eric Gardner.
Yeah.
So I don't. In the likely event, I'm praying he doesn't get acquitted, but in the likely event that he does, there might be outrage for like a week, maybe, but I don't see that. I don't see it being the sustained outrage that it needs to be.
I'm just
It
mad
might not
that
be here.
I don't know.
It might be there more so.
I'm just
I'm hoping that there is some outrage. I'm hoping that we step up, we step out, we do what we have to do to affect change. But I don't know if it's fatigue or if it's just me thinking that it's going to be the same old, same old. I just don't. I don't see it. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I suspect that it will be sustained in the same way that Black Lives Matter was last summer, with it being not just a week, but being several months of it, of at least there being protests somewhere in the country or somewhere in the world. That video affected people in a way that Eric Gardner and all the others, dating back to Rodney King, when it's what my understanding is, that was the first one that was caught on tape, really. And now with everyone having cell phones, it affected people in a way that was different. And I think you'll see that video over and over and over and over and over and over again, reminding you about it. Weather's getting nicer. COVID's, people believe, are coming to an end, even though we'll talk about that in a little bit. That the outrage of it just being the same old outcome might prolong those protests and what many will call riots. And given the audacity, given the I can't even think of the proper term right now, but just the overstepping of policing in this country as they feel threatened for their livelihood and their lives and their funding, and how they didn't act against the insurrection, but have always acted against minorities protesting. I do feel that if he's acquitted, which I believe he will be, and I pray he won't be, that there might be the clash that ignites something larger than we've ever seen before. Whether that'll be sustained, whether that will lead to a second civil war or not, I don't know. But I feel like there's going to be, like the 60s when the police killed people who just stood up for the right things. And I fear that happening in a grander scale than we've seen for decades. But I don't know. We won't know for a while. And I hope we don't find out, because I really do hope.
I'm with you. Pray that he gets what he deserves. But then otherwise, you're right.
I will say that it's very sad that we deal with the very likely possibility that he's going to be acquitted, knowing that everything that we know, everything that we saw, the fact that it was documented in video, that's my most, I guess, disappointing, I guess, reality in this, is just seeing that, like, no matter how much proof, like, what else do you want? What else do you want? It should have been an open and shut case. That's what the whole point of video proof is for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you see the justice system being incredibly flawed. There are loopholes that are meant for the right things, taking advantage by people doing the wrong things. And even with video proof these days, like, people just don't say some of that is enough. Like, back when fibers and all the different types of forensics that we could do came out, everybody's like, well, why aren't you taking that? Why aren't you doing this? And it's just so interesting to see how much of that is actually used and how much of that contributes to proof, because it really just doesn't amount to much, even though we can see it happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a crowd of people. You know, this isn't just one lonely, recording. This was like a group of people seeing this. This was televised. You know, that there was multiple people that took. I mean, well, one girl took video. I think there's multiple witnesses there. You know, it's just, I don't know what more you would need. And because he's an officer, it just seems so unlikely. But if it was anybody that was a civilian, this would have been considered an open and shut case.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Police have always just been under that protection.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, to your point, Tati, and then I promise we can move on after this. But I even think back to, I think a video that affected me like this was like Philando Castillo, when we saw him on Facebook Live, you know, saying that he had a weapon but had a permit to carry, and then just bleeding out on Facebook Live. Like what, you know, in that case, I'm like, okay, well, something's got to happen here. Again, nothing. And it's just, it's very tiring. And I'll say this. I have still never watched this George Floyd video. I will never watch it. I will never go back and actually view it. I don't have to view it to be outraged. And I just don't know if I could take it at this point, just given everything that's happened. Not just this year, but I feel like, and I know that it was happening a lot before Trayvon, but for whatever reason, it just seems like the frequency with which has happened since Trayvon Martin is just alarming. And I just, like I said, I just couldn't watch it. After Ahmaud Arbery, after Breonna Taylor, not that there's video, but there's video of Ahmaud. I couldn't, I had a fatigue and a numbness that didn't allow me to watch it in that moment. And just then I can't bring myself to even look at it. But just understanding the amount of time that he sat there and begged for his life, it's just, it's more, I think, than I could probably be able to take.
But speaking to the frequency of things, you know, I have to say that even though we're seeing it a lot more now, it more than likely has been happening, and we just haven't heard about it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it's coming to light now, you know, I appreciate that. I'm glad we're seeing this, and, you know, we're trying to bring about change as a result. But there are probably hundreds of thousands of names that we just don't know that have been victims to that.
Absolutely. I mean, I know from my native relatives what happens with clashes on the reservations where there's a complete lack of modern technology to record these things. And it's literally, I mean, there are reservations that are larger than states in this country. The sheer amount of nothingness in them as far as land goes, and the isolation and what the government gets away with and authorities get away with is just mind-blowing. And coming from the projects in the Bronx, I know how many black kids are beaten, shot, raped my whole life. And all our whole lives, and all our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and all of history, not just of this country. But it's like you said, Ashley, thankfully it's coming to light because of technology. And it's the same with women and rape, and it's the same thing with the LGBTQ. But we went into this last week in great detail, and it's been going on, and sadly, it's just that there's a vested interest. I feel it's more palpable than it has been in decades by the racist white right to not only maintain the status quo of killing and raping and hurting and beating and imprisoning, but to increase the frequency and be bolder about it. That is what keeps me up at night more than anything else, because they're just so emboldened to continue to do it, and they don't want to stop. And if this murderer and his accomplices, because if this was any of us, especially if it was Darius, open and shut case, and all the accomplices would also be open and shut and all rightfully so if we were that kind of person, which we're not. But if these people get off, if these people, I say loosely, get off, it will just embolden those people who want to continue to say, this is our land and you're our subjects. And
I think this just like it reaffirms the second-class citizenship that no one wants to ever really point out. I think the same goes with, one of the articles we were supposed to read today about the Mississippi with taking away trans rights or fighting against it, so that Republicans obviously don't want trans. They don't include trans people in any sports apparently that they're not allowed to. And I just don't understand why. It just seems like if you're not white and straight, it just everything else is optional. Everything else
is harder.
We can debate rights for these people. I mean, I don't understand that. And we can debate it about everyone unless you're white and straight.
Yep, I agree there. So why don't we, Sheyne, I know you introduced the topic to us. Why don't you cycle into the anti-trans legislations? I think it was Tennessee, Arkansas, as well as Mississippi.
Tennessee and Arkansas passed, and 28 other states are considering it. They're passing anti-trans legislation to make it impossible for trans individuals to have access to basic medical care. And
also sports as well. I know one of the things that they focused on the most in terms of their legislation is making sure that, so to their argument, they want to make it fair for women's sports because they don't feel it fair that a male who identifies as female participate in women's sports, therefore making it unfair for females on the other side. So I can certainly understand that, being in co-ed softball and all that. It's very different with guys on the other end.
Yeah.
They're heavy hitters and the like, but I can also see that we're also pushing people away and limiting what people can do and taking away the fairness that they should also be allowed.
I think that it's because we're thinking about it in a very binary way. Mm-hmm. So when there are plenty of women that vary in strength, size, agility, I can find plenty of women that are stronger than certain men. Keep in mind that trans people in most cases are taking hormones. So in a lot of times their chemistry is more similar to a woman's, depending on how long they've been on it, than a male's. So there's a lot of different aspects that I don't think people understand. And it's mainly just because they don't understand it.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of, I guess, prejudgments made on this. And what that's always been my argument about sports is that, you found a trans woman who happens to be the best volleyball player on that team. I can find probably 10 other women that would be better than her. It can be found. Those are just people like any other people. There are different women and different men, just like different women and different men, that are cisgendered. I think it's just because we know, and it's because it's made a topic that we can talk about. If no one knew or talked about it or cared about it, then it wouldn't really be. But because I see someone winning on a volleyball team and they have a trans player, all of a sudden,
they feel cheated.
Team thinks they're cheated automatically, and it's like, they could have just found another woman that was just stronger and better at volleyball than you anyways. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trans woman. And if it's a cisgender woman, then it's okay, right? It's okay, but it can't be a trans woman.
Well, so within this legislation, they're talking about requiring all students to provide birth certificates that state what they've been identified as at birth. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems very Animal Farm labeling everybody type thing. Like you have to prove the documentation. Like, what if you're someone who went through your transition really early and you don't want anyone to know? Like, you should be able to play tennis or whatever the fuck people do. I don't do sports, okay? So this is all a mystery to me. This is why I've been quiet. I'm like, I don't play sports. I get hurt every time I'm around it. So
it's not even, I don't know anything about sports myself.
I've played a lot of sports.
I'm just all about the fact that, like, you know, I'm speaking just from personal experience and how people can easily perceive and misunderstand something as easy as that, because, you know, of course, with the knowledge, you're going to have preconceived notions of what it should be. And that's just not the case. I mean, like I said, I am not the best at any of those sports, no matter what, you know, and it's just, that's me. And I'm sure that we can find other people and, you know, that can do better or worse. It's not just because they're, you know, biologically male or female.
I feel like
you brought that up, and I thought that was a really good point, because I played softball with guys who are horrible. They don't know how to hit. They don't know how to catch. And I played with girls who are horrible, and they don't know how to play, hit, catch. And we had an umpire once, and I pitched. So he would allow the females to get extra pitches.
Oh, I know this guy.
No. She wasn't ready. Go ahead, give her another one. Yeah. And to me, that's not fair, because if I go up, he's not going to allow me the same things because I'm experienced. So the guy comes up and he has no experience whatsoever. We're literally showing him like how to stand, how to like hold the bat straight. And he misses the first one because he just wasn't ready. And I was like, well, you should give him, you know, another try because you're giving all these girls. He goes, well, no, it's not the same. Well, why isn't it the same? They don't know how to play. He doesn't know how to play. Why does it matter? And it comes down to the same situation where you might get someone who was born male, identifies as female, and still doesn't know how to play right. They're trying to...
I have to say it's shameful, because then they want to try. Mind you, imagine being someone trans already. You know the odds are against you on this situation, and you want to be great at something, and you try to be great at something, and then you're told that it's unfair that you're great at it.
Yeah. Yep. I'll say that when this first started becoming like a topic, and this is years ago now, the initial reaction from many, including myself, was, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like, it is somewhat unfair to people to have someone who goes in there who's just inherently stronger, which in my mind now, years later, equates to, well, of course all lives matter. You're missing the point in the sense of, like Tati said, you're not educated as to actually what the issue is. We're not saying we're trying to, or no one who's trans who's playing sports is saying we're trying to be unfair. It's understanding what happens to the biology. Like, you know, we have a trans friend, myself, Darius, and Tati, who worked on the show that we were on with us, who talks about how when she started transitioning in her teen years, her muscles went into atrophy. Like, she was this fairly strong, kind of bulky boy when she was a boy, when, you know, as far as like physical appearance goes, not obviously who she is as a person, and then the hormones change her physiology. Now, that's not every trans person. There's no one story that is that every story is unique. It's not the same across the board, but to take it case by case and understand what it is in order to be competitive, in order, like in baseball, the saying is, you know how good you have to be the worst person on that team? Like, you still have to have skill. You still have to work out.
And to simplify, it doesn't just apply to trans people. Nope. That applies to every man and woman. There are different variations of men and women all throughout, regardless of what type of man and woman.
My argument to them would be, so are you going to implement that, you know, if he's this tall, he can't ride kind of situation? Like, okay, he's too tall. Maybe he's a little bit older. Maybe he can't play in this junior league because he's bigger than everybody else. Are we going to start discriminating against everyone?
We have.
Based on...
But we have.
We certainly have.
The Negro Leagues. The Negro
But are
Leagues.
we bringing this back now? Are we cycling back to this?
Look at that little league team.
It's going to be height. It's going to be weight. It's going to be...
Either that or we're going to include everyone and it's all going to be co-ed. and we're gonna learn how to deal with it.
It's just
too.
as
Why not just do co-ed? Who cares?
it should be
why does it
co-ed.
matter?
It's like, and I'll bring
It
I'll bring
should.
2 more points into it, and the second one I guess I can use as a segue. There's a wrestler. So going back to how we mentioned wrestling, Nyla Rose, who's with All Elite Wrestling, which is like the competitor to WWE, and she's trans. She's a Native American woman from Washington D.C. who's transgender. Who, when she's in the ring with the other women, she looks huge just because the women are fairly petite in that league. And she kicks ass. She's been the champion. She's not been the champion. She's amazing. You know, AEW, unlike WWE, is very progressive and everything. Like, the wrestlers allowed to wear BLM and everything. Like, it's amazing. But I digress. But she, you know, they knew they were going to face backlash for that. And they have approached the subject in an educated, informative, and casual way, in the sense to they themselves don't make it an issue. They don't fall. Look, we have a trans wrestler, and look, we have this other gentleman, Sonny Kiss, who's very flamboyant. You want to talk asses on a man? Like, I question myself. Sonny Kiss, look up that ass. I'm not lying to you.
Wait,
Sonny
how do we
Kiss.
say this? How do you say
Sonny Kiss. SONNY.
SONNY. Okay.
Yeah, look up that ass. I digress. They're not
Like,
throwing it out there being like, we have this stuff. And they do it in a way
Oh my
that...
God.
Exactly. They do it in a way that
I'm
says...
missing out.
Legit will
Yeah, I'm
give
missing
me a
out.
run
I
for
gotta
my
look this
money.
Wow, look at those glues.
And his best move
Wait.
is a finisher with that ass. He puts the ass in someone's face.
It's like
He's
shoving
great.
their face in the
Oh,
butt.
okay.
Right,
Oh,
Darius?
I
Come on.
Okay.
We see that in the club at like 1 a.m. in the dark. We're going to be like, well, hello there.
Can I just say he rocks the fuck out of those boots, or she?
Tell me about he goes by he. He goes by he.
Okay.
But
I
Nyla Rose, who's amazing, and she addresses this stuff, and it's a beautiful thing because they treat it as it should be on a case-by-case basis, saying, like, in order to be a competitive wrestler, you have to have skill, training, ability, strength. And they have men like Sonny Kiss who are petite, and they have they have a guy who's like basically the size of this water bottle, all the way up to the biggest dudes in the world, and everything in between. And they fight in wrestling, based on whatever the matchup is. And you hold your own or you don't. And other wrestling companies have intergender wrestling, which I feel should be the wave of the future, but that is what it is. And then I'll just go back to that, saying that, like, do we do this for everyone? There was a Little League team that won the championship. They were the best of the best of the best. Obama had them to the White House at the Little League World Series. And then they found I forget where they're from. I don't know if it was Tom's River or whatever it was. And then they found out, this kid may have been this age. They may have manipulated where this kid... Oh, no, Chicago, I think. It was Chicago. They manipulated where this kid's zip code was. And why? Because this was basically an all-black team. And so it's always about, just like with the laws that have happened in Georgia, to try to kind of segue, oppression and keeping down what you hate. And now with healthcare and with the sports in Arkansas and Tennessee and the 20 other states considering it, it's about holding back and oppressing trans people. At least that's what I believe. Just as they did with the Negro Leagues, just like they did with the Little League World Series team, and so on. So they use these stupid stipulations and stupid arguments to hold people down. And
It's not only that they're holding people down. I think when anyone, like, let's just say I'm on team A, you're on team B, and team A wins, they're always going to be looking for reasons why team A cheated. There's also situations where
If you had a trans person on a team that lost, it's not going to be an issue, though.
No.
It's not gonna be.
Exactly.
No, it's
But do
not.
they do that with everybody, though?
Only if-
No. They don't do that with white teams.
this is true. But
And they also
if
don't
you-
do it with people like the Lakers either. Like, there's a certain accepted athlete now where others are investigated. I mean,
Okay, but if you think about it in a different way, think about like a man and a woman. Man cheats on woman, and you think that thinking that the man is supposed to be wrong, and everyone says the man is wrong. But then they start looking for faults in the woman, saying, well, maybe she didn't cook enough for him, or maybe she didn't give it enough to him, or maybe she didn't wear enough makeup for him. And all of a sudden, it's her fault. And it's the same situation repeated across the board in a variety of
Any minority. If you're not I'm sorry to all the Sheyne watchers, so sorry, I don't mean this. But if you're not a straight man, it's all about fighting harder to just be as equal, you know? And I mean, and I love the fact that I live in an age where, you know, I was in the 90s. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. I could have, you know, it was a lot of things that I couldn't do. It was a lot more of a real situation. Now I feel like, you know, I can be myself without looking over my shoulder as much, regardless of, you know, what goes on. So I'm happy to see that. But just to know that my whole life, I have literally seen the rights of people like me and for me kind of just juggle depending on what politicians in charge. It's just like crazy. I'm 33. This has been happening practically all my life, that I have seen one day I'll have rights, and the next day I'm not sure if I will.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so Sheyne, tell us about Georgia.
Oh, God. Well, who's aware of what they've done in Georgia?
Georgia?
New voting laws. That is what I know.
The new voting laws, yeah.
Not allowing to sell water or food to those lines in a place.
Not only sell.
It's not sell, just hand out.
Give. Just
They said it was.
Whoa. Somebody break this down for me?
What was that?
I said somebody break this down for me.
Sheyne, go for it.
All right. Well, it's kind of hard because there's a lot of stuff in this. I mean, one of the biggest things is that they now in every state, the Secretary of State of that state oversees the election process. Now, Georgia has stripped the Secretary of State from being in charge of that, and it's now directly in the hands of the governor and his office and right Republicans. And of course, this is a response to what happened both with the presidential election and the Senate runoff and the angel on earth Stacey Abrams. So it removes the Brad Raffensperger. I can't even pronounce his name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And from his roles, both he was as Secretary of State, he was chair and voting member of the board. The new chair will be appointed by the legislature, which appoints 2 members of a 5-person board, meaning that full majority of the board will now be appointed by a Republican-dominated body.
Right.
Which...
Breathe. Deep breath.
I mean, that's a lot. That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And so they can completely manipulate things. Now they're limiting the number of curbside ballot boxes, the times at which you can drop things off. You know, so if they put the cutoff time at 5 p.m. All right, you know what? I'm doing a mail-in ballot. I, as someone who has a job where I'm working from home, I can walk down the street or take my car down the street in the middle of the day, or someone even if when I was in the office, I had the flexibility with the job I have to be able to go and drop it off. But how many of these people who are poorer, who are predominantly black, can't leave in the middle of the day?
Exactly.
And
definitely
and reducing polling places. Reducing polling places instead of, and they're trying to frame like, oh, they're actually increasing them, and the whole thing is that they're not actually adding new laws, they're just reworking the laws that currently exist. And so they're like, oh, well, you can still have clothing and umbrellas for the heat and food and this but we have to limit in the way it's distributed and whatnot. And it's like they have lines of people up to 10 hours, and now that they're limiting the locations, there's going to be much longer lines in the Georgia heat and in the Georgia cold if it's November.
And more people are not going to want to go because it's going to be long lines. It's going to be hot outside, and people are just going to be like, maybe later.
I hope that they keep on pushing online voting or mail-in voting.
Mail-in voting as well.
Yeah, I mean, although I was very upset with that process because it was very difficult for me in the beginning.
It's very difficult for a lot of people. I think there was a lot of talk that there was a lot of manipulation happening and there was a lot of recordings that came out again that said that certain things were getting manipulated.
I was just thinking it was hard for me to log on because they couldn't identify me.
Which
I had the same problem, actually. I finally got set up to vote after I was allowed to vote, so I didn't.
Oh.
Because I moved and everything.
It still turned out good. So.
I mean, and another, like, here's the actual wording: the giving of any money or gifts, including but not limited to food, drink, to an elector within 25 feet of any voter standing in line to vote at any polling place. Can't do it anymore. They're cutting the polling places statewide by 10%.
Where they were doing voting in black communities, that's only where they're enforcing these new rules.
I mean, they haven't enforced it yet because there hasn't been an election, but we all know where they're going to actually be enforcing it. It's going to be the black communities.
That's what it said in the article, that they happen to have picked a couple of most places that
of course, yeah.
I would like to see when that comes about, how it actually unfolds, and whether or not larger parties get involved to stop that.
I feel like voting itself, that should be a separate entity, or it should be a mixed entity with Republicans and Democrats, so that this doesn't continue to happen where we're seeing, like, I mean, isn't that a problem when that's
isn't it important to get the votes right? It's part of, like, you know, the government's job to make sure things function, like.
Well, I mean, not if you wanted to get to a point where there's no longer any voting.
Exactly.
You know?
So again, we're running into the situation where people who don't want to do what they are supposed to do decide not to do it right, and then you have the other people on the other hand that are trying to do it right and then just can't.
I mean, look what they did to
exactly.
Look what they did to Park Cannon, the woman, the state senator or state representative who knocked on Governor Brian Kemp's door while he was signing in the room of all the white men, and they took her, and it wasn't just white officers, it was black officers as well. They took her, they basically carried her by her arms and handcuffs out that building for knocking on his door because she wanted to have access to him signing the bill, which is within her right as a legislator. And now the cop is saying that, well, he was worried that she would incite violence like the insurrection at the Capitol.
I think he would.
But it was after.
Violent.
This was just last week.
After they did that.
This was just last week. He's like, oh, we didn't want to have her incite others because there was a crowd gathering. Fuck off, dude. Like, the fact is, she's a black legislator
who was control the crowd.
Well, here's the thing. No one was in that building that didn't belong there. It's like AOC knocking on Nancy's door, and then she gets, or I mean, the bad example is Nancy and her on the same party, but like, you know, it's like her. It's like AOC knocking on Rich McConnell's door, on Turtleface's door, and. I wish. Oh my God. She wouldn't be arrested. I mean, she'd be in handcuffs, but.
Whoa.
Actually, she can dominate me. I digress.
I digress.
Politics.
You're making me blush.
I'm gonna make that into a meme so we can get that out there. Like,
sure?
Now, I'll do this while we speak.
Well, you have earphones in your head, Rebecca. So covering your ears is pointless.
I was like, it got worse.
Yeah, I need a shirt that says "I digress." Darius needs a shirt that says "There it is."
There it is. I do.
I have virgin ears.
Beks, I don't even know. It's just so many good quotes from her.
Really?
Yeah.
I think we should have.
I've been holding it.
You should.
We should just do memes that are "I digress." Everything that.
Yeah, everything I say. But in any case. Fuck, I almost said it. But any case, it's just, again, it goes into what I say is that audacity. On the other hand,
that's your new catchphrase.
Meanwhile, ... I mean, it just goes back into that. It's Jim Crow for the modern age, and Jim Crow never really died.
Totally.
And the meme goes, "Congratulations, Governor Kemp, you just awoke every Democrat in the state." I don't necessarily believe that because people are asleep now that Biden's president. It's just the truth. And
I mean, yeah, once I felt like things were gonna go like, okay, they're gonna get boring again, and it's just gonna be the normal the normal arguments. I'm gonna just stop watching because I I was so involved with everything. I was watching the news all the time.
It's very intense to watch that constantly. Like I had it on, and you can see my TV's back here. Like I had it on while I was working, and I was just kind of like listening to it, and I had to turn it off. And I think to Darius's earlier point, you know, it gets to the point where the news is just so much. You have to put it down, turn it off, walk away from it, and come back at a later date because it's there's so much.
You can't get away from it because it's even in social media too. Yeah, it's even on social media. I don't even watch the news.
It's on social media. It's on TV shows. Depending on what you watch, it's everywhere. And there are some days like I'll just whip out a puzzle and I'll put all my tech away, and I'll destroy like 8 hours just getting really frustrated about like where the fuck.
And there are days I whip out other things too and just ignore it. But you know,
that always makes you feel better.
I mean, I call AOC.
But I mean, you know,
don't disrespect her.
Those 2 minutes that, you know.
Those 2 minutes? Dude, I'm 40 years old. You know how long it takes now? Sometimes you just get like 10 minutes in and you're like, no. I'm going to sleep.
We were thinking it was 2 minutes, not 10. Tati's like, no.
No.
I don't really know what we're talking about.
That's
entirely out of control.
That's the second person today who's put their hand over their ears like, no, my virgin ears, please stop.
But no, I mean, it's just... We'll see what happens when the next election in Georgia actually occurs, and it's Jim Crow, and it's just manipulation, and there's no way to stop it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And what transpires? I mean, we got a long time till the next election there. What transpires at those polling places in those minority neighborhoods is going to be. Because people will be defiant. People will be defiant. And
I almost want to drive down to Georgia to hand out some water.
Right?
I'll do it. I'll go with you.
Or 26 feet away.
No.
Exactly.
You just want to be on
cannons. Yeah! I'd be like Al Bundy.
Just knock a bunch of people out with a water bottle.
I know, right?
Or they just get under the wheel.
Get a slingshot.
How many water bottles have you taken to the face?
Listen, we're not going to talk about that period in my life.
He's come a long way. He's changed.
We could be like Al Bundy. We could be like the paper boys who just throw the paper off the bike.
Yeah,
and just throw waters and shit.
It's a drive-by, but with water.
And then there'll be this poor old lady.
Right now.
Then there'll be this poor old lady in a wheelchair and just goes
so violently. She just wants to shoot people with water bottles.
We'll end up killing somebody. But
I would like to do it as aggressively but as efficient as possible and get the most people the water.
I'll just be like, hey, guess what? Like you said, measure the 26 feet.
You know, a garden hose. And
I was thinking about that too.
Like, I was like, that might look
like a fire truck and just go down the street, like just watering everybody, and just be like, I want you to grow.
So everybody opens their mouths and just the water flow from the hose.
No, that's just.
I'm gonna say you're gonna be like the good version of the police in those scenarios, like.
I was gonna say no. I don't think.
Turn it down on low.
Just not like hit them with the full blast. You have to angle it up so it like.
Yes.
Or you could the fire pumps. Sprinkler system.
Oh yeah, that's true too. But
it usually points out towards the street, though. What kind of magic are you doing?
You would have to turn it the opposite way. No, because they're on the sidewalk and they're in line.
Yeah, but across the street though. If they're across the street.
It depends on how big it is, because I've seen the like little munchkin ones that like hits every car as it goes by, versus the ones that actually get to the other side of the sidewalk.
I feel like in Georgia there'll be munchkins. I feel like they'll be the munchkin.
I feel like we're not going to save our democracy. I don't think we're going to be the ones that can do it.
We're thinking about you.
Get that feeling?
Why not, Rebecca?
On a positive note, though, even though everything sucks in this freaking, country at the moment with politics and everything like that, I'm just happy that we are actually having these kind of discussions, because a couple of years ago, like maybe say 10, they wouldn't even, we wouldn't even acknowledge these kind of things.
Right.
Now we know this has been going on, so I'm just hoping that the most positive outcome comes from this, and that there's enough people that will continue fighting so that it finally one day it'll be something that we don't really have to talk about anymore. That's my hope.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on a completely different note, I hope that eventually we can start talking about this stupid COVID spike. People are being stupid. It is. We are outside.
I thought it was almost done.
No, apparently we are doomed because there is another spike coming, and I believe this is what, the third or fourth rendition of another COVID strain that's coming about, which I think is also the reason why, as of today, 30-year-olds and above are able to get the vaccine, and then next week, everyone else is allowed to do
16
it.
above after that, I think. Yeah.
I think it's.
But that's just here, though.
Rush it. But I think they're also rushing it because they're anticipating it's getting warmer. People are going outside. People are pissed off about being indoors, and they want to travel. I want to travel. Thus, I'm going to get the vaccine. So I think they're pushing this along because
they know that people are not going to listen anymore, and we're just going to go crazy.
Well, at least they can.
And we were already talking about this last time. I saw it in Nashville. I saw it in Dallas. I saw it all over the place, all over the country, where people just are not wearing the mask. They're not doing the social distancing. My manager at work today put something out again just to remind everybody, like, if you are traveling, take 10 days. We don't even need to go to the office, so there's no need for you to go. Yeah. We can do our jobs from home, try to keep everybody safe.
But it's even the things that they're letting you do.
Is that the new thing, though? Are we ever going to go back to, like, in-person anything?
There will be. There will be. So I have to say, like I work with law firms. So law firms are very brick and mortar. Yeah. They want to be in the office. They need to be, able to go down the hall and talk to a partner. They need to be able to meet with their clients. Will that change? Yes. Will there probably be less people in the office over time, and there'll probably be more spread out schedules, or like a hybrid work from home, half in the office schedule? Probably. But I've spoken
that'll be like the new normal.
Exactly. I've spoken to a lot of candidates who are looking for that flexibility now. Most people don't want to go back to the office at all. On the flip side, you have people who have kids at home, you have people who have dogs at home that are a distraction, and they're like, I want to go back to the office to separate that. Even people without those components, people are feeling inundated because they're in their home, in their comfort space, and they're working. So even when they're not working, it kind of feels
those extroverts, they need that social contact. I mean, I can watch TV all day and be like,
people. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's what
she just wants the TV.
Was silent? I thought your mic went off.
I did too.
It's like Ashley said, it's going to be a hybrid. It's definitely going to be a hybrid. But like the spike, the CDC director.
Because I've also seen articles of like asset management firms and different types of financial companies who are 100% on board with being fully back in the office.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not going to be across the board. Like they're going to be places that are like, yes, you have to come in.
It's going to be depending on where you work and who you work with. Like I'm pretty lucky that I even talked to my boss today about this, and he was telling me that he doesn't want it to go back to the norm, and we shouldn't be quick to snap right back to it. Yeah, we should be focused on okay, we are productive working from home. How can we still leverage that? Give people, a little bit more benefits in terms of, okay, I don't have to commute to the office an hour each way every day. I can save that time and maybe cook more. Maybe I can go to the gym a little more and build up that mental health as well. So it's kind of like, how can we leverage exactly? How can we leverage what COVID has given us to implement new changes in
and save money?
You know what? There are people that miss all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are people that miss commuting. There are people who now, because they're home, don't excercise. Right? Their commute was their exercise. There are people that getting on the train.
We're not pointing at you, Tati.
He not just Tati. Shit.
That's my booty machine.
I think for me,
I'm squeezing my new.
I've got me, Rebecca, and Tati on the top row, and I think that's the entire top row he's just talking about.
But I mean,
I'm glad you think I'm working out.
My dusty booty buster.
I was listening to somebody who said that that was I guess he walked 2 miles when he combined like all the stairs that he walked. You know, going up and down on the train and everything.
I did about 10,000 steps a day as a result of going up and down the train. It also puts you in the right headspace because someone was telling me that if you can't separate like home and work, you should literally stimulate your brain to think you're commuting. So they suggested that you actually leave your house, go for a walk around the block, and come back, and that to your brain is your commute. So you could also,
I get that.
You could turn
I do that with my dog. Yeah.
I mean, my commute is from my bedroom to my living room.
Every day. Huh?
My commute, I go to the kitchen, make my coffee. It's like I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. I go back to the bathroom while it's going. I take a shit. It's like,
I was gonna say, I was like, you're forgetting a crucial step.
Exactly.
There, Sheyne.
Then I come back, get my cereal, get my coffee, sit down, boot up. I'm like, that's my commute. But it's also about saving money because a lot of places are like, shit, we can go hybrid or go completely remote and save on expensive fucking real estate and save on like what used to be called petty cash for like office events and shit like that. Like, we can save a shit ton of money. So I think that's going to play a huge factor in things.
It is.
I like getting ready from the waist up the most.
See, I do.
That's all I do. I'm wearing a t-shirt and I wore a blazer over it. I was like,
it's so funny you mentioned that because over the last couple of days on LinkedIn, we've been talking about like the differences that have the challenges of like video interviews and like how people don't know what to wear anymore. Because like for an interview, should you be dressing up when your interviewer is in a hoodie? And then on the flip side of that, as an employee, like, can you wear your pajamas? Is it appropriate to wear your pajamas? Should you still be dressing up? Should you be putting on makeup? Is it okay for you to be barefaced or not? And it's just so funny. It's like bringing up all these little things. What happens?
Makeup is always optional in the workplace. The idea that you need to wear it to be professional is pretty silly to me. But I do like. It's my moment to like put on my face, pretend I'm this professional person, and it's like my like 5 to 10 minutes of like, okay, I'm gonna see people now. I don't like the having to see people part of my day. So it's like my little shield. No, this is good, but I still get like, the calls and stuff, it still gives you like a little social anxiety, you get a little...
Question.
I do like having makeup because it makes me feel a little more confident, so I will be more talkative if I'm not. Look at me.
So that's funny because we were also discussing that as well. Like putting makeup sometimes does, and dressing up makes people feel more confident and comfortable, and that's fine. Absolutely. But it also should be up to a person to understand. Okay, you're in a meeting. You shouldn't be in a tank top with your your tatas halfway hanging out because you just rolled out of bed.
You should see my office in person. In person, these Zennials are half naked. The Zennials in my office are in short skirts, low fucking.
I've seen a bunch of people like that in my previous job, and I always just look at them like.
The men are in their tiny little jeans with their bulges showing and their muscles blazing.
I have a very lax dress code at my office.
That was my old. Yeah, that was my old.
You can come visit Tati when we go back.
There was a guy who worked at my old company, and there was a day he came in with like a V-neck that came down to like right here, and like he didn't have anything underneath, and it was very skin tight. And like I don't know if you know, when you wear a white T-shirt, you can. Yeah, but his were like
areola central.
And like he walked in with it with like bed hair and like skinny jeans, and we just kind of looked at him like.
Did he have a hairy chest or not?
No, completely.
Oh, see, that's why.
And we just looked at him like, how do you think that this is appropriate? Like, we can see.
He's like, I'm not in an ad agency. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, like I work at a startup, so it's totally okay to wear denim, have blue, green, pink hair, all that stuff. A lot of makeup if you want, but we're not like a super cool one. But yeah, no. So like that's like one of the parts of my job that I like the best. Like I can wear whatever the fuck I want, and like but it has to be like high low. Like you can do denim, but a crisp button down with your like.
So it's kind of like business casual.
Yeah, but like if you wanted to wear loud stuff, like some of my friends like I don't know. I feel like something about like very petite women. They like, and I'm gonna take it an extra step here because I'm a little lit. Petite white women somehow they can just like wear like really really tiny things and no one gets mad.
I completely agree with you because if someone like me,
It's like the Lola Bunny thing and then not.
Yeah,
can't
it's
do
true.
that. It's like it's borderline for some people, but not for others. Because I
like I have
previous office too, where the secretary who basically greeted everyone at the door at some point was wearing like pumps, like wedges, like the non like work ones, and like short skirts and like open cut shirts, and like she's like this.
And like if it works, but like you have to like do like high low or whatever.
Cool.
But my friend, she's adorable and she's very petite, but she'll wear stuff that's like this big, and I'm like, if I wore that, I know somehow or another HR would like
Somebody
me
would
and I get
ask
in trouble.
you like the fingertip thing where you put your arms down by your side and you have to.
Middle
Well,
Or
it's
like her
Yeah.
bra comes out of her bra's coming out of a tank top and stuff, but she doesn't nothing.
At my
I
job,
don't think anyone hasn't gotten in trouble for what they're wearing at my job though.
I think I don't want to make it sound like this, but it could it be the lack of like vivaciousness?
yeah.
No, it's still.
And
But like,
maybe
it's
not,
still-
but
it's
your
still
place
there?
maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I was like,
She's
usually
just-
if
She's
it's like,
curvy,
small,
but she just
you
is
know.
not.
Yeah, it's like you
she
could
has
put her in a
curves, I should say,
teacup.
but she doesn't-
and like
or shape.
between us, we all make jokes about it. It's like, oh my god, you're like baby prostitute vibes today. Yes, like, high five.
See, when,
But she doesn't like get in trouble for it ever.
well, like on my job, it's almost different. Because like your job, it's one way. My job, it's similar but different, almost to what like Tati was asking. Is it about the vivaciousness? It's it does tend to come down to your status in the office and your age. Like, one, we don't have enough people of
She's
ethnicity,
naked.
so to speak. Aww. We don't have enough men or women of non-white ethnicity to really have a full-out blanket statement that it's kind of a race prejudice going on. We just don't have enough. It's something the company acknowledges. So I'm not speaking out of turn here. Excuse me, but a lot of like especially the Zennial and very on the younger side millennials who I mean, there's a certain benefit to being clueless in general and being not having accountability in life. That people are just like, we're just not gonna say shit to you. We'll talk about, oh, well, she's dressed kind of a little like, or he's like that, or they're like, oh, his shirt. There's a lot of guys with the fucking low V-necks on my job,
I mean,
and
I'm
like,
not against those.
yeah.
But
I mean, we're not against any of it really, but it's just like people will say, but then,
as long as he has a push-up.
there you go. But
It'd only be right.
Only.
there you go. What are you trying to single? What are you trying to say anyway, Ashley? Shit. Shit, Ashley. What are you trying to say? Like, what if I'm wearing it? What are you trying to say? Damn. It's like, damn. We don't want to see that fat fucking something. I hear you. I'll tag you back. But in any case, I digress. Exactly. But then our friend Darius, who posted what we talked about last week as far as like the no thank you to the different causes, worked at my job. I got her the job. I was her manager for a while. She was our receptionist. She's of ethnicity, multiple ethnicities, and she's way more of a curvy and voluptuous. And
There's making some funny faces.
he knows what I'm talking
He
about.
looks like he's gonna.
But he also knows that,
But
and last week when we talked about what she posted, notwithstanding, like I do adore this person. I don't agree with that, and if she was saying that about another causes, I know would be like you have to like push her out of your life. It's complicated, but she also isn't the most professional when she's an artist and she doesn't understand and I know that's a pass, the corporate profession. Yeah, so things she would wear would be a lot for the office, but also at the same time, not as much as this girl over here who looks like she got just, she looks like she didn't go home to refresh after the club last night. But it was like, well, Sheyne, you have to tell her to, and I've gone through this a few times as being the manager when I was at One Life to Live, and then here, it was like, oh, can you tell the intern to not wear juicy over the ass? And I'm like, do I have to be the one to do it? It's like, but then this 12-year-old actress is wearing the same thing on the show, like that's different, they're actors. And it's like, oh, that's different. They're of this status at the job. They're project managers, they're associates, but she's the receptionist. She's the help. And of course, what's the most diverse department at my job? The help, office services, facilities that I used to be in, because those are who you hire for it. Those in the sense of like, yes, black and Latin, and and it's just the bullshit of how corporate America works. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like like virtue signaling, but it's like she had to cover up and change how she dressed, whereas a lot of other women in my job didn't, and a lot of it, I think, had she been more of a twig, it wouldn't have been as big of an issue. Whereas
I don't even think it's always a color thing. I legitimately think it's like a thickness thing. Because like my skate friend, she's still very sexy. Like she still has stuff going on and all that. But she has like kind of like a more of a nerdy vibe because she has glasses and professionally cut hair. So she doesn't look like just a sex object. Whereas like I feel like a lot of times when people see curvier women, or just women who are just like
smaller garments,
have extra fat on their body, it's just like just suddenly it's like sexual, thinking about like fried pork or something. Like it just gets
now I'm thinking about another curvaceous woman in my job who used to wear belly. Who used to wear belly shirts.
It's all about the chuletas.
But she used to wear belly shirts and tight skirts, and no one said shit to her.
All of a sudden.
And no one said shit to her.
Why don't you share, Tati?
Oh my gosh, they're so good too. I'll take you to a place if you're ever around in Williamsburg.
I'll come down. You're not that far from me.
Yeah, there's a couple of places.
You're not far from me either. You're in Williamsburg.
Oh yes, we are.
I'm like by the Bushwick area, Broadway, Flushing-ish. You know.
My cheeks are getting hot just thinking about pork.
I can't get too close. Yeah, it's like we'll just say we'll walk from there.
But yeah, the thicker someone is, the more problematic it can get. Like, believe me, I would dress like all over the place at work. Sometimes I'd wear like little 1950s dresses because I felt like it, and I knew I was going to go somewhere else after. That's always the point. Because, you know, if you're in Midtown, there's bar after bar all over the place. You're like, I'm getting a drink after this shit. You just put a blazer on everything. And then other days I dress like Bob the Builder. Like, straight up, I stole my dad's jeans. You know, and I wear like my boyfriend's t-shirt that has some like satanic worship cult thing on it, and then you just put a blazer on that. Just put a blazer on it instead of a
changes everything.
A blazer, it fixes everything.
I would like you to wear your Bob the Builder outfit, and we can post that on social media for the peeps to see.
We will actually see if my dad's jeans still fit me at this point, because the one thing I have refused to wear this entire time while working from home has been pants, and I thoroughly regret that. I thoroughly regret not wearing pants. I was wearing like gym shorts every day and just dressing up from the waist up.
I've been dressing up from the waist up as well. And
even the back of my head, like if you see the back of my head, this hair ain't done. It's just the front. It's like crazy. It's crazy back there.
The question I was going to ask,
side.
are cameras required to be on at your jobs? Because my job, almost no one turns on their cameras.
Everyone turns on.
Oh, they are. That's why. I wear makeup every day for work. Otherwise, they're going to think I'm sick. They haven't seen me without makeup for 4 years.
I haven't seen some faces in over a year. It's like they just won't turn on their camera.
I don't put on makeup most times unless I know I need to like record something or I'm doing like a video interview or something. But most of times, at least my hair is done and I'm wearing like an appropriate like top. More than likely, I'm wearing PJs on the bottom because I want to be comfortable while I'm sitting here. And then like I'll have like fuzzy socks on or something.
No, it's like fuzzy slippers and pajama pants. Like
I know I'm not going to do like any sort of like video interviews, or if I'm done with them for the day, I'll go like steal one of Jay's hoodies and just walk around with the hoodie like at my knees.
I work from bed like this. And it's like the worst angle, just with like a pad.
I can't work in bed. I can't.
I work in the guest bed.
I'd be here or I'd be on the couch. So
they need like
at least
a rig that suspends a laptop over you in bed, so it's like you're laying down, but you're in the natural typing position.
So
I do
there is
this
a product.
to cover my camera, so just in case, because I'm like, that is the worst angle ever that anyone can ever see me from.
My work
Just like,
laptop. Do you see what's here?
I got the tape too.
you too? I'm so scared of them seeing me. I mean,
Well,
like,
no,
at the
I always
wrong
put it
time.
on there first, and then I take it off. I adjust myself. I'm like, okay, we're ready. Click, and then like I join the meeting. It's like,
That's what I know. Yeah.
I mean, no,
But it's
I just have to clean my area when I'm like on like Zoom classes or anything like that, and then I just take off the camera when I take a hit of the joint, and then jump back on the camera.
Well, I mean, I won't say that I do that, but hypothetically speaking, if I were the sort of person to drink on the clock, it would definitely be like the sort of thing where like, oh no, the internet's not working. You know, I'm just saying.
I mean,
I would never do
Hypothetically,
that.
hypothetically speaking.
No, I honestly don't even look at Facebook or my phone while I'm working because I'm so like I have to focus or I'm not going to get shit done because I can't remember anything.
I get that completely. I won't go on Facebook like that, but like I'll message people throughout the day because more than likely I'll have a candidate text me. I don't know if you guys have the same problem, but all of my emails hit my phone first.
Yeah.
And then they hit the computer. So I'm almost always like, okay, I'll preview the email. I'm like, okay, gotta get ready for this. And when it comes in, I'll immediately respond. So I'm almost constantly like on my phone or here. But in meetings, at least I'm like participating.
Yeah, I hate using my phone. I lose it around the house. I broke it a while ago, so I'm stuck with the 5S. It looks like a piece of shit. And so I just like, good, let it die.
My dad, we just upgraded him from the Samsung Galaxy 6, which was like ancient. It was broken in all sorts of places. Like, the Chase app would not actually function on his phone because they had upgraded it so many times that the security on his phone was so bad it just wouldn't work.
That's fun.
Wow.
So I had to upgrade him
now
in order to get him. He also the QR codes, it wouldn't work for him.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that either.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to go anywhere. Like, what is the point of fixing this phone to go where?
When you go out to like lunch and dinner, they're not giving you menus anymore. So
Oh, I just remembered how we got in this.
showing him how to like scan it, and it wasn't working for him. I was like, dude.
And that reminds me of how we got on this subject, talking about the possible fourth wave that the CDC director says is coming. We brought it full circle.
That's way more important than coronavirus. Like, how do you look? Not how do you live?
True.
That's what coronavirus is about.
It's all about what the coronavirus has done and its impact on us, and that's what we tangent to.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
I will say though that I'm a type of person that I don't use technology in the ways that most people do. Like I'll leave my house without my phone.
I'm too scared to do that, but I really wish I could.
I don't.
I wish I could use it as a weapon.
It'll just be for like a walk, like a half hour, like if I'm walking the dog and I don't want to. You know,
I could do something like that.
Yeah.
These are my
This would be better. But like, aren't you scared of getting locked out?
Those are your weapons?
Yeah, these are actually.
Well, because I said I bring mine just in
these are my
case.
fabric shears.
As a
You
weapon.
bring those
Wait,
outside
that's
with
how
you?
Broke your other one.
Oh. Then,
Is that how you're breaking your phone? Are you using them as weapons? Is there something you want to talk about?
So, someone who shall not be named accidentally broke my cell phone at a costume party with me while I was dressed like Amy Winehouse. And I was kind of drunk, so I was crying about it. But it was an accident. But my phone smashed to smithereens. And so I'm dressed like Amy Winehouse crying. And I was like, this must be what her life was like. And so that's why I have this cell phone. I won't say who he is, but you know, he's waiting for me to just replace the phone, saying like, "I'll pay for it. I'm sorry, I dropped it." Blah blah blah. But you know,
well,
and how could you?
is this initial G?
I was gonna say, speaking of replacing things that maybe people broke, or you know, people might have stolen out of some guy's house because he was in the hospital recovering from COVID for 2 months, and he came back and all the stuff was done. So
that is a bummer.
Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah.
I read it. It was sad. What the heck? I mean, okay, they fixed some of his stuff, but
Okay, but
they threw
that's a
out
cop out. You know for a fact that this man has been in this building probably since the dawn of time, and they've probably been trying to get him out so that they can upgrade his apartment and charge him more. You know they've been trying to do that.
They
because
probably
he had
They'll
all this
charge
stuff
someone else more probably.
that they were concerned about, which means he probably was a hoarder, maybe possibly, or had a lot of
it was
stuff.
just a really nasty place, but regardless, it's his stuff. Like, you just don't throw out a whole person's life and say, yeah.
Just put it away somewhere.
I get it. Like, put it away in boxes. Like, you can't determine what's important and what's not important to a person. Especially, hold on, where did all his documents go? All the important stuff.
That's
like,
what they said. They said everything,
pictures,
all
like,
his documents and stuff.
pictures, documents, like, okay, probably not.
Actually, I have a big question that I don't necessarily think I caught within the article. Who was paying rent while he was in the hospital? I'm not saying any of this was deserved, but just by lease laws and what happens, like if you're not paying rent, then they technically have the right to just box stuff out after a couple months.
But there was a moratorium on that, though.
There's a moratorium on evictions until May, so they can't.
So then
they can't even touch his stuff. They can't even.
And I mean, Corcoran.
I just don't even know why they would do that.
Again, because they've been waiting for him to go. They've been waiting for him to.
They probably thought he was gonna die.
They thought he was gonna die.
Yeah, that's true.
They were banking
and then
on
they
it.
probably felt bad after the fact that they tossed out all of his stuff.
I doubt that.
They opened the door for him, which doesn't make sense in this scenario.
Like, hey, enter your apartment. Look at what we did. All your stuff is gone.
He would have brought an illegal lockout case against them, and he would have won. And they would have been forced to let him back in. So I guess to avoid all that, they said, "Hey, let's let him back in."
He got a GoFundMe where I think people put together about $35,000.
Yeah.
And that's nice. That's great that at least, you know, he got the support of like his neighbors and shit. But also, where was everyone when it was happening?
They might not know what happened to him. Like, who knows their neighbors anymore?
Yeah.
What do you do in that case too? What do you do in that case? He's not even there to defend himself. You don't know.
They could be like, "Oh, he's left," or "Oh, he died," or "He moved somewhere else."
Right.
I wonder if they did say that he died and they just took his stuff and threw it out, because that would be the only logical excuse to trash his stuff. If they were putting it away,
I think we should take logic out of it. I think we should chalk
chalk
out some money, renovations, and charging higher rent.
Back to my original point. I think they just wanted him out, and it was the perfect timing to take advantage of this man who's thankfully recovered from COVID.
I mean, you see so many instances of this through, like, in this, I don't know, year plus that we've been in this. There have been so many people who, because there's been this moratorium on evictions, their landlords have just been like, okay, I'm just going to lock them out because they're not paying rent, or because they were supposed to get evicted before the pandemic hit, but, you know, the eviction didn't happen before this moratorium started, so I'm going to lock them out anyway.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Sad.
Like, at this time, I can understand that, okay, maybe you box up its stuff, you clean up the apartment, and you figure out what happened to him. You don't, like, okay, here's a nice shiny apartment now. We did everything we were supposed to. Put his stuff in storage. Bring it back.
Right.
How
much time passed before they did that?
I think it was 2 months.
That's pretty ridiculous. Just 2 months.
Do you think it's better that Corcoran was one of the bigger, I guess,
donators?
Yeah, donators. Do you think that makes it better? Do you think that erases everything, or do you think
it doesn't erase it for me at all? I think, to me, and like, I've watched Barbara on like Shark Tank and stuff, and like, it's nice to see like the stuff that she does for, you know, the people that she works with. But this is just sad. Like, it doesn't sound like there was an apology issue. It was more like she was trying to cover up like what.
It's getting caught. It's getting caught and making sure that you like own up and, you know, here's some money and, you know,
here's the money, don't worry about it. Yeah, like, you know, if you need anything, let me know kind of situation. It wasn't like, oh my God, let me come talk to this man. Let me apologize to this man. It was like, here's the money. Don't worry about it. Okay.
She might be pretty far removed from the people who made the stupid decisions, but she should have saved face by saying, like, the nice stuff.
Is he still living in that apartment? Is he allowed to live there? Is that still his apartment?
He doesn't.
It's still his apartment
It's
until.
still his apartment, but he actually doesn't have running water.
Yeah.
They said that he wasn't going to have it until Monday. I remember
Yes.
that being in the article. And they said, oh, you're just not going to have it until Monday. It's like, not
They
only
had
do you not have all your stuff,
no idea where his belongings went.
And
It's
that's
just through the trash.
Who got into the
that neighbor that reported that they were
Oh,
like
they-
dumping it out there. I'm like,
trashed it.
girl, why didn't you say something?
then the other tactic that they try to use is that they shut off essential services so that they won't have heat, they won't have hot water, in an effort to get their tenants to move out.
Exactly, and
their
that's
own.
not.
They've been doing that.
They
Yes,
did
that's what
mention
right. They've been doing that for years, but
absolutely, and they did mention that they fixed some holes in his ceiling, which means also that he had been there long enough that he wasn't allowing anybody in to do renovations. So again, they were just looking for an opportunity to get into this man's apartment.
I don't know if that would be true, because sometimes it's a matter. It sounds like this is such a shady company and management that it could just be that they wanted the apartment to fall into disrepair in the hopes that he would leave it, so they could gut it and renovate it and upsell it to the next person. Like, I've dealt with landlords who are like, I'm not, or supers who are like, yeah, I'll get to fixing that, and they never show up and they never come.
right.
So I wouldn't even. I hesitate to put. Maybe he's a prior person. He doesn't want people there, but at the same time, the way they behaved, I would first guess that it's whatever's wrong with that apartment was probably on the fault of the management and the landlord and whatnot. I would.
Or they might have just said there was an issue and there wasn't. Like,
yeah.
They did
in
whatever
property management. So I'm not the bad guy in these stories, but like I can see both sides in the scenarios where the tenant is awful, but not in this scenario. Like, the person's been gone for 2 months. And we're in like a coronavirus hold moment. Like, there's absolutely no reason to go in there and take stuff out. The only thing I could ever imagine is like if things in there were so unhygienic and unpleasant and like something funky was going on.
That's
to the
what
point
they
we
were
had to
trying
like
to
go
put
in
there.
there.
If things were contaminated, like maybe it was like roach infested or something, then I could see them validating.
That's what they were saying.
Well,
I think it was a health hazard.
It was a health hazard, but they didn't
Because
specify.
I've seen scenarios that are like out of control, disgusting. Like, we've had I'm trying not to get too specific, but like, imagine a human being that's like so out of it in their own apartment that they're like shitting on the floor into Chinese food containers and living with that, and just trash piling up, and you don't know how to get them out. But the thing is, on our end, like, we call their parents, we ask for help for them, we try to figure something out.
You need them to get an emotional support while you're doing that. I used to work for a cleaning company. I mean, and we've had people, constant clients that have those kind of situations. And what's as important as getting it as hygienic as possible for them is emotionally and mentally supporting them through that process. Because it's just like in an episode of Hoarders where there's an illogical or irrational, seeming irrational or illogical connection to these things that, really don't mean anything to say me or you, but to them it's everything. And so you have to still respect that while trying to get their place clean. Obviously there are people, you just can't salvage something. You can't salvage.
I can understand that.
But you still speak to him and give him the heads up. He should not be coming home.
Take photos to prove there was a problem instead of just having it be this mysterious bullshit answer.
But also, it concerns me a little bit because they saved the pet turtle. So
that's what they need to save that. Why not the rest of this stuff?
So my question is also, how bad was it that the turtle could still survive in such an environment? Because typically, if the home is corroded enough, that also might affect the life of the turtle.
It might, but I mean, we've all seen Hoarders, and we've seen the animals that survive in those unfortunate environments.
A pile of magazines and stuff.
Or kittens who are smushed and their bones are between a pile of newspapers. No. So my thought is like, they thought to save the turtle. Why?
Wasn't it like the neighbor saw him fall down the stairs, and maybe like the neighbor, he was like, "Save my turtle" or something. And
It seems like he was on
like
the ground.
a comic book beginning of
Save my turtle.
I just saw like him.
Save
my turtle.
I didn't mean to. Sorry.
He was found on
That's
the
totally
floor.
what I would do. Like, save my cats, please.
He was
Not
found
the
on
baby,
the floor,
a cat.
fifth floor. He was found on the 5th floor, walk up, on the floor, crying for help. He didn't have like enough strength in his legs to like get all the way up the stairs, kind of situation.
So sad.
The super took the pet turtle, so obviously they knew to keep some of his things. Like they mentioned like a piano still being there and like a few
That's hard
other
to move.
Like, was everything
Right,
else
exactly.
gone? Like, I don't get it.
Well, yeah, and
They're probably gonna sell it.
piano. How wrecked was this place? He had a piano. He had a turtle.
You know what I mean? Like, why not document
Yeah,
that?
like,
So
just
that's
every
what
scenario
I'm
we've
saying,
been in,
like,
It's
they
shady.
documented it.
It's
Like,
shady
they
as
just-
fuck. Their story doesn't add up. Every
Not
step
at
they
all.
took does
They're
not
trying
add
to
up.
cover things up,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it's chalked it up to just greed.
Really?
Capitalism.
Or honestly, just incompetence. Like, I'm not gonna say I've seen it firsthand necessarily, but people do stupid shit. Like, it's the wrong number, the wrong apartment number, and you're like, oh, it needs to be empty. Whoops. Oh no, that was a 2. I thought it was a 3. Like, that shit happens. Most of the time it's not malice, it's just people being fucking incompetent as fuck.
I mean, sometimes with a lack of compassion, I think too. I mean,
That too.
It's just you have to have a little bit of compassion to understand, like, maybe this isn't right what we're doing right now. You know, we didn't speak to the person's not here. They're in the
Yeah,
hospital.
because I'd imagine the super was told to do it. You know? Like,
Or the super decided on his own to act on it, which is probably why Corcoran had no knowledge of it.
or
Someone probably got fired.
So
yeah.
she donated $12,000. How do you feel about that?
No.
That's shit.
I mean, I would always want more because more is more, but also, like, he doesn't even know what he lost. Like,
So
Right, exactly.
can you imagine?
$35,000
Wait, he
is
doesn't
an
know at
understatement.
all what he lost?
Wait, what?
I mean,
what'd
I
you say?
wouldn't. Can you imagine
What was that,
opening a
Ashley?
dresser and just, like,
What'd you
what's in
say?
there?
So I found the link to his GoFundMe page, and we'll include it here so that everyone can decide whether or not to donate. But as of right now, his goal is $100,000. There's been over 1.9 donators. So everyone is
Million or
okay.
oh what?
Oh, I thought you meant 1.9. I was like,
Wait,
one?
you said
I know,
1.9.
You said 1.9 donators. It's like 1.9 hundred,000.
Person donated?
They were just a little lit, but they were mostly there.
Just a tiny bit.
Rebecca
but
donated.
Mhm.
Barbara is still the top donator with $12,000. But
I mean,
I guess that's okay.
how much was his rent per year? Like, I mean, like, is that his annual rent? Is she covering his rent basically for a year? Like, how's about like, well, how about we'll have someone work with you to try to figure out everything that you lost, and we got you, and then we got a year's free worth of rent. Like, this is just.
They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do it, but that would be.
Where's your receipts?
That would be like
Where's
pocket
your-
change for her. That would be
Yeah, I don't know,
nothing.
people have gotten like, I've seen, and Beks will probably speak to this. I've seen people get like $50,000 to leave.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I know a dude who's got a rent-controlled
12,000?
3-bedroom apartment in the Village right now, who the landlord's been trying to negotiate with him to leave for a decade, and they're up at talks of upwards of $600,000 just to leave.
you see, it's,
Because he knows he renovates that, and a year and a half later, boom, sold for $10 million. Done. Like, it doesn't... When you're in real estate and you have that kind of dough, it really is not... It's pocket change to really actually take care of one person who your company wronged. 12,000 ain't shit.
They should give him free rent for like 6 months to a year.
I would say a full year.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're being cheap, like, you're the company,
Right.
6
Yeah.
months to a year.
Well,
So-
the thing is, the reason they probably can't do that is because if it's rent controlled and he gets public assistance or anything like that, then he gets it covered and he's not paying out of pocket for most of it anyways or any of it. So.
So, okay, so according
There are ways
to the
around it, but yeah,
GoFundMe
that's a good point, Tati.
According to the GoFundMe page, a few months ago, he was taken away by ambulance. Some weeks after that, a crew was in the hallway cleaning out his apartment, and the neighbors thought he died as a result of them coming in and cleaning out his apartment. They even set up a memorial in front of the building and started asking around if anyone knew what happened to him.
What? And you see, he wasn't some hermit that was like locked away in his home, going crazy, because obviously the neighbors knew him. He was in the community. He obviously, knew people there. They cared about him enough to make a memorial. There's something
really
ain't right.
I don't know. There's got to be like, you can't just operate off what neighbors say. Like, you can't just go, oh, a neighbor said this tenant died. Okay, let's clean their shit out. Like, there are channels you have to go through.
So the neighbors,
No, they probably thought that because
They
they
just
saw it.
reacted to the
they
building.
reacted to the building going in.
Oh, sorry. I got vaccine head.
I'm
Sorry.
worked up. I digress.
I digress.
I digest.
All right, that's extra fucking shady then. That's extra fucking shady.
Yeah, no. Speaking of extra shitty shit,
What are we talking about now?
I was.
This segue.
I think
Which
is
topic
this
is
the
this?
I think I know.
Do you know?
I don't
The
know.
Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
Muffin Man, the Muffin Man.
The Muffin
Well,
Man.
apparently, he was a
Yes,
very
I know the Muffin
charming.
Man. Okay, I'm done.
I knew it.
He was a very charming man that apparently has been known now to have cannibalistic fantasies about the women that he is with, and
I
we'll
mean,
segue
if I like
into
meat,
Armie Hammer.
to eat me too.
Well, apparently, okay, so scenario time. If
Okay.
Armie Hammer,
Hammer.
Arm and Hammer.
Amy Hamer?
Yeah, no relation to Arm & Hammer. They probably don't want to be associated with him. He comes up to you, pillow talk, and he's fantasizing and telling you about different parts of your body he'd like to roast and devour. He says to you he wants to break your rib and barbecue and eat it. What do you do?
I grab
See,
the
I
knife.
feel like
Pop quiz hot shot.
I'm
But
kidding.
you see,
I'm
I
sorry.
feel like he just went to the next level with I feel like dudes have said I wanna sop you up with a biscuit and eat you.
No.
So,
Wait.
But that's way he's taking it obviously
there's-
it's
I'll give you another
like a
one.
conclusion.
He'd say, I want to take a bite out of you. If she had a little cut on her hand, he'd
I did see
suck
that.
it or
Yes.
lick it. And that's about as weird as she let him get.
I mean, Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton wore each other's blood around each other's necks.
It's a
While
little
she made out with her brother, who,
Yeah, like-
It's a little.
people get weird.
Right.
Okay, the cut
But the
thing
biggest thing
sounds
is-
a little weird, but I mean, come on. It
Consent.
still sounds
That's
kind
all.
of-
Yeah, it's
Eat
exactly.
my
It's
toe,
like
but ask me first or something.
I mean, I
I had a girl
once.
once who was like one of my fantasies to be fucked at knife point. And she's like, I want you to
that's
fuck me at
different,
knife
though.
point.
That's different though. He
Oh
wants
my
to fuck you
God.
after
That's
knifing
like-
you.
Gave me a
Different,
flashback. I
like-
remember you saying that. Anyway.
I thought you
But think about that. It's like you're basically
I
saying
remember
I
you
want
telling me that
my
story.
life to be in danger, and I want you to be on the verge of slitting my throat if I gyrate too heavily. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then one day we're doing it, and the knife thing, the thing you put knives in, in the kitchen, is there. So I'm like, okay. So I take the knife and I put the dull side to her neck, and she's like, it's not gonna work. So I was like, oh fuck. So I flip, and it's the big knife. So I flip the knife, and I'm like, and she's like, just press it into my neck a little bit more. And I'm just like, oh fuck, I might end up in jail tonight. And once she climaxed, I moved the knife away, and I was just very thankful. Yeah, I was like, and I was just very thankful. But it's kind of like some people had these like sick. To digress back to Armie, I have a friend. She once was having sex with a cop, and she asked to have the gun put in her mouth and cocked, and he refused to do it. He took the bullets out and did, and she goes, "Well, that's just bullshit." Some people have some weird shit, and as long as it's consent, I feel like, hey, whatever.
But like consent with like the responsibility of like, if you got
And then,
gun fantasies, don't use a real gun.
Yeah.
Try to pick a dull knife. Like, don't put anyone's life in danger.
It was a sharp knife.
Honestly, if he's fantasizing about eating toes or chewing your
would you
ribs
take
or
a
whatever
guy
it is, like,
that to you?
like
How
just
seriously would
go
you
ahead.
take
Ashley is so turned off by all of us.
How seriously would you take a spouse that said something like that to you? Like, I want to take your rib and barbecue.
I mean, if they were like a good person and maybe that was their thing, and like I didn't have a thing or whatever, but I mean, I say
that, like, what barbecue sauce would you use on it?
Does this remind you of The Walking Dead?
This
This is going in a completely different direction than I imagined it.
Like, which is the thing is like, it's because the thing is I judge him like obviously I'm not fully versed on what happened here, but like I judge him more on like the parts that are like non-consent, not respecting like safe words and stuff. I don't give a fuck how kinky someone's brain is because half the time people say shit they don't necessarily mean it until
I feel like I want to have a
ate some person's body. Like,
So there's an article, there's several articles, but there's one that dives incredibly deep into his background, into like his father and how he grew up and how, everything was affecting him, but also how he would, come in and he would charm these people, kind of like a Ted Bundy situation where he was very charming and people got swept up in it. And then he started to move on to these darker moments where he would open up about situations that happened in his path and kind of like circling, people into that darkness. And some of the girls go on record to say, they were like, okay, and got to this point and they had to get off the ride and actually go seek help because they felt a little traumatized by it.
Yeah, but I mean, did he stop them from leaving?
Because he's hot. They don't like him for the content of his character. Like they're with him because he's hot and they want to fuck a hot guy.
You said it's like Ted Bundy, right? But he didn't kill anyone. So
did he stop them from leaving?
That's it. Like that was just his thoughts, I mean, he's just
Ted Bundy in the sense that he's charming and alluring.
I mean, I get all that, and then he's freaky.
Yeah, but
we end the sentence with he's super freaky, and not everyone's gonna be down for that.
I mean,
and that's it. As long as he's not doing it without, like you said, without consent,
or like raping people. Like there's an allegation of rape, and like if he did that,
it's just like we're not gonna dirty talk. Yeah, I'm not dirty talking with you. That's it.
Like just do it. I mean, like also Ted Bundy had to actually work to get whoever was gonna go home with him. This guy's. I mean, in Hollywood, famous people don't have to work for it. You don't have to work that hard for it. I mean, I don't think Armie Hammer has any business being famous anyway. Yeah, I said it. I think he sucks. I mean, the Winklevi were fine, but everything else, I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know what he's famous in.
He was in the Facebook movie. He played the Winklevoss twins.
But now I feel weird about it.
I mean, that's really the only thing I probably have seen him
Leo's love interest in J. Edgar Hoover.
Anything.
I don't know him.
And
when they said it was a scandal, like
Social Network.
The Social Network. He played the twins that Zuckerberg stole the thing from. He played both of them. He played J. Edgar Hoover's love interests in J. Edgar with Leo. So it was him and Leo pretending to make out.
Like a normal person, but then he allegedly sent this direct messages to someone describing rape fantasies and cannibalism, which is how this whole thing went viral in the first place.
I mean people
with those kind of like bed, like pillow talk thoughts, you gotta be careful who you're. I would say it's almost the epitome of sending nudes to someone. Mm-hmm. You gotta be careful who you're doing that to or giving that to, because then they have the right to use the information however they see fit. Now, to make him look like some kind of criminal, if he hasn't done it, then he's just, just a little freakier than the rest.
But she's also traumatizing these people because, like, even his estranged wife or one of the girlfriends says he likes the idea of sinking in his teeth.
But did he do it without her consent, or did she say
I've had women do that.
Like,
that's in one of the articles, one of the women says that she consented and immediately regretted it afterwards.
It happens.
That's troubling too, but it's like if you consent and you
It's
regret,
Right,
and
so it's
say
like,
hey,
where
I don't
is
like this anymore, stop.
Voice it.
And he
exactly.
stops, then he's not bad guy.
Yeah.
If he keeps
Yeah,
going,
it sounds like
then
she
he's
just
bad guy.
regrets her decision. That's it. It's
Which
not,
is
it's
completely
not-
valid.
Well,
Like, it's completely valid
not
to.
just her. There is a few other people,
But-
so it's kind of like
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. It's like, yes, sure, maybe he needs therapy to deal with all his issues. How many people in this world do? Like, at the end of the day, it's like you're getting to know there are some damaged people and people who not maliciously inflict damage upon their partners, but by exposure, by learning about them, by their fantasies. If he's not holding anyone prisoner, if he's not forcing you to do this, like, yeah, it sucks that they needed to seek help
They were okay
themselves,
with it
but
when they were
like,
sleeping with him and they were with him.
like,
That's all
yeah,
I have to say. They
That's
were
kind of
okay
my
with
point
that.
too. But the thing is, like, if they brought it up after or said something in the moment, you know, and
maybe it got too
Understood, absorbed it, whatever.
freaky. Maybe it got to
Yeah.
a point where you're just like, no, I'm not cool with that. And that's it. That's the end of the relationship. That's all it should be. You know, if he's not forcing himself or harassing you over the breakup or anything, then there's really
Threatening.
no issue other than he's just not the guy for me.
But also,
Right.
it's like I feel like with people like him, I'm not saying that he's innocent at all because I don't know him. I didn't read all the articles and stuff, but like with famous men like him that look clean cut and cute and handsome, I think it's very easy to imagine that they're gonna be this like romantic save you prince bullshit, and then you see the kinky side and it might be a little too much.
I think what's also the case here is it's very easy to see him as one of those, you know, like, oh, sheep's and or wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. Like,
Do-gooder.
you don't know what's behind, you know, that nice smile and stuff like
It's
that.
hot until it's like, oh, he really is kinky. I can't handle that. Like, no, thank you.
I mean, everyone has it's a spectrum of kinky, you know, so
Look
he's
at-
just like really.
People do bloodletting. They like slice each other with little knives and suck each other's blood. Like, I'm not going to judge them for what they're into.
some people like to get
Yeah.
shit on.
segue into bloodletting.
Ah, that was good.
Next topic.
That was a good one.
See,
Donate to your local.
Well, no, not that. They already gave it to those speakers.
So speaking of bloodletting, apparently Lil Nas
X.
has put out a
Little Nas X.
Lil
Lil
Nas
Nas
X. Has put out a
You've
pair
been using
of
brand
Nike
X.
Air shoes that have a bit of blood in it, a drop.
Supposedly, it's in the
Drop.
sole. I heard like of the shoe, like one drop.
Is it
One drop.
Is that confirmed though? I heard it was rumor. Is that confirmed though?
No, they
Yeah,
said
it's
it was.
confirmed in the article.
It is confirmed,
all the
okay.
artists who made
They
it.
confirmed that it was.
Is it confirmed?
It's
They use the
confirmed in
diabetes
one
thing.
article and not confirmed in another.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, 'cause that's what I
confirmed,
kept seeing.
confirmed.
I think.
It's on the news, so it's true.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
on the internet, so it's like. check.
Well, he also has a video where he's giving a lap dance to Satan, then he kills Satan and takes the throne of Satan.
Okay, wait.
Let's
back it up a little bit. Let's back it up a little bit.
Let's back it up a little. So he put out this whole satanic line, and it's supposed to describe his journey with being a gay man and it constantly being an issue with everyone. And he's kind of like Cardi B in the situation where it's kind of like, if you don't like what I put out, too bad. Like, this is my story and this is how I'm going to tell it. So what were your guys' initial reaction to his video?
Okay, I just want to say to the video, I didn't watch the video before hearing about the shoes. So when I watched the video earlier today, like, I was seeing all the chaos on social media, and there were people that were really pissed off about it, and people that were like, this is art, and he's allowed to express his art in whichever way he wants. So then I watched the video. I was anticipating this was going to be some big, moving kind of, thing because of how much commotion it caused. And I watched the video and I read the lyrics. It was just a music video that he decided to put like biblical like imagery in it. It actually has nothing to do with his real. I thought it was going to be that, people said that he was going to hell, so he was like loving the devil because that was the only person that was accepting him. But that wasn't in the lyrics.
No,
He
it
was
wasn't.
talking about a guy. He was just talking about having a guy. And
He was talking about having sex with a guy who is still in the closet and how it's okay for this person because they're still in the closet, but it's not okay for him because he's out for the whole sake.
If it was going to be something where, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. If it was going to be something that he could, like, he was going to use Satan as, like, the symbolic message for something that was deep and meaningful and genuine and authentic, I would have stood behind it completely. And I still stand behind him being able to do that. That's up to him. The gimmicky stuff, the shoes, the heaven shoes, the Satan shoes, like, this was all just to make money. This is just another gimmick I see. You know, it wasn't meaningful in any way that I was able to connect with. And I find it to be, it's more for the shock value rather than for the message. And it upset me more because of that.
Do you think that you're unable to connect with it? And I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Do you think you're unable to connect with it?
With your little devil ears, Sue.
Do you think that you're unable to connect with it because you don't understand his journey because you're not a Black gay man?
I have many, you know, obviously we're not the same, but I feel like when I was hearing people talk about what it was about, I was behind it because I know what that's about. And then when I saw what I saw, that's not what it's about.
Yeah,
People are turning it into that, and it's not that. And it's just like, wow, it's such an opportunity that could have been about something really real. It wasn't about that. And it's not. It's just not. And I mean, he could say that it's about it or whatever the case is, but when you look at the content, when you read the lyrics, when you see the video, it's not necessarily about that. It's about him having a relationship. And I mean, okay, but I just thought it was something else. And to do all of that just to talk about a relationship with a guy instead of really talking about that real big issue that we want to talk about, that's like right there because we're seeing the imagery and we know what he's kind of suggesting, and you know, we want to start that conversation. Have that conversation.
Can I give my big deep
Go.
view
Give
on
us
this?
the deep dive while Patsy
So-
goes down on her blanket.
I wasn't too crazy with the song itself. Like, I didn't feel like it was like something I was like a bop or like I was gonna listen to it in the background. But I watched it one time. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I felt like it was very Looney Tunesy, kind of campy. Watched it a second time, and here's the way I see it. Every single character in the music video is Lil Nas X. So they're all created in his image. And so we start off in the Garden of Eden where the initial sin happens, right? And there's like the inscription on the tree with like, those who don't understand will damn it, or I don't remember what it is because I'm not caught up on it. But, you know, everyone's created in his image. So I feel like one of the messages there is like, everyone's created in God's image. There's no creature, you know, in heaven, hell, or earth that's evil or wrong. There's all different layers, different manifestations of the same being. So like being gay is totally okay. It's just like another route. And then you see him fall into temptation and change. Then there's like the scenario where everyone's like in the denim, which made no sense, but he just said like, I want to like have sex with people I envy, which I thought was like a fun line, but like, okay, cool. That's the sin. Then he bangs the devil, kills him, whatever. So yeah, sorry, I'm lit. It's like, I liked some of the stuff he played with, but I think to do something that controversial, I wish there could have been a little more substance to it. But I did see where he was going with it. It's like, if you're going to tell me I'm going to go to hell, then I'll go to hell and I'll kick ass and I'll kill the devil. And like, how is someone who kills the devil a bad guy, though?
I just wish he said that when he showed it. You know, like he said that. I wanted him to say that. I wanted him to, like...
Well, yeah, because if you...
It was like for a different song.
If you listen to the song separate of the music video, you don't get the same feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the song. The song was actually catchy. I thought, oh yeah,
I thought so too.
But then when you see it with the video, you're just like, where are we going?
The message
wasn't even that dirty, honestly.
No.
Okay, so Sheyne.
How do I feel about Lil Nas X?
Yeah.
I mean, I pretty much agree with what Tati and Beks are saying. I feel like I think you said this, Ash, like you get something different from just listening to the song as opposed to the video, I think. the video, like, even the, like, I'm no music critic, but I'm a hypocrite because I judge everyone's art, so whatever. I think it's a little amateur, the song, and its construction and its arrangement and everything. I think that the message that they say they were going for could have been better conveyed, but like, I mean, I think that about most music nowadays, so I'm like a grumpy old asshole, so it is what it is. Like, kudos to him for doing his art. I think the video connected with the brand. It's all, people sat down in a room and marketed this out and saying, how can we shock people, get people talking about it, get tweets, get it trending, make some money, and claim we have a message behind us so no one can actually truly attack us. They succeeded. Here we are. We're talking about it. He's probably going to be a millionaire. I am not. Kudos to him.
Darius. I feel like this could have been a moment.
Also, real quick, people talking about Satan in music for years. It's all just a manipulation.
It's not new.
Marilyn Manson, Black Sabbath.
Or a lot of different pieces of
they
work.
Just should have put more time into the Satan character. That's why it all falls flat, because they don't portray it. Like, they could have made it like a badass musician. They could have done anything. It just was like blankly staring in crappy, costume thing, and when its neck gets
poorly rendered,
broken.
Yeah, it was a little amateur.
Yeah, the neck breaking I thought was weak as all hell. Like, it was like, oh, let me turn your head. It wasn't like, and like you just like see it fall.
That's the time to like push the boundaries and make it as sexual or as nasty or as gnarly as possible. Then
I did like the end where like his eyes lit up and you got like the wings and everything. I thought that signified the transition of like him becoming the king of hell. But
it's also like, is he an angel? Is he like Lucifer?
Yeah.
Is he before the fall? Is he gonna fly back up? Like, it could go a lot of ways, but
I will
is he
say
gonna bring hell up to the earth?
The music. My final thought. The music video
Darius.
is my final thought. My music video is the visual representation of Armie Hammer's acting.
Wow, that back to you.
Wow, taking down everyone.
Oh,
no names. No names.
Just like.
Wait, that fully connects it though, full circle. Call me by your name.
It
does. Yep.
Which I did not watch yet, but I will watch secretly.
You made that connection. Darius, you're the last one.
I mean, I guess this is gonna be really short. I feel like most people's outrage behind it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people's outrage behind it was because, I guess his first song, his breakout song was so popular with kids, and they just wanted to kind of separate. I guess it's more of what we talked about last week with the wild performance. But if you really listen to his last song, Old Town Road, he's talking about, being on lean and all this other stuff that you really wouldn't want your kids talking about anyway. But it's just so catchy that it caught on with kids. I guess that, to have him make this turn, they're like, well, kids were so into you. But I mean, as somebody who identifies as Christian, I watched it and I was like, okay, like, even I was like, all right, if that's,
right,
that's what you want to do, I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't know. We've seen these kind of things in our art and our music, in the art and music of the culture for years now. I mean, I being a big rap fan, you got 3 6 Mafia. But I guess most people don't make that connection. Yeah. You had DMX with his phase where, he's talked about stuff, and even Bone Thugs and Harmony, which if you really listen to the message behind all their stuff, it's got a whole different, it's got some meaning to it. It's got some weightiness to it. So, I guess people don't have as much of a problem, or maybe they did, and I'm just the product of a younger generation that doesn't really know the conversation they were having behind it. But just, in general, I think you all pretty much said it very well. I watched it. It was like, okay, I guess if that's what you're going for, I see the message that you're trying to convey. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna. It doesn't deserve my outrage.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't think I got outraged about it. I was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah. And there were points in the video I was like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, I was very confused.
Message wasn't clear.
I actually immediately after watching, I went and looked at the article about the shoes first. Then I watched the video, and then I was like, let me look this up. And I actually went in and like tried to find to understand his message. because
But like, it should have
It wasn't
spoken
clear
for
within the
itself, which is
Right.
the problem.
But I did the same exact thing. That same way. And then but instead of looking at why he made the project, I looked at the lyrics themselves to see if there was something deeper I could
Same.
find. Because I was
So
like, there's
in the
something I'm not
article-
getting. And then when I read, I was like, this doesn't sound like his relationship to Satan or being accused of being, going to hell or anything like that. It was a love relationship. I saw, secret love affair of some sort, but at that point, that's when I was more disappointed with the lack of substance. I just really felt like this really could have been something great. And it was okay.
And see, I feel like I had a different experience from the two of you. I listened and I've read why he, his thought process behind the video, and then I went and watched the video, which I'm kind of glad that I did, because I've only watched the video one time, not like, some of you that watched it multiple times, but I feel like had I just gone and watched the video without seeing what his thought process was behind it, I'd have been like, well, what were you trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, I probably would have left the video like, what message were you trying to convey? I don't think it would have been clear to me had I not looked at his reason.
Social media kind of, yeah. I was waiting for something. I was like, it was unclimactic to me because I was anticipating all of this. Like, I'm seeing so much outrage and people defending him like they're his lawyer, and people saying that he needs to be, completely canceled. And then I saw
It's
it,
just
I'm
good
like,
for
what is
memes.
going on?
It's good for memes, just having him twerk on the double. I just like watched it and I was like sad. It's like, wow, I'm like never gonna be dumb enough to be excited about this shit. Like,
Yeah. Or to find it, what got me was the fact that some people were really defending it as like some kind of, they were saying that it was like really meaningful, and that I was missing, or that people that weren't really hyped about it were missing the message. And I was just
I'm glad he can have a dumb music video that's empty and stupid and void of depth like everyone else's music videos have been. Like, he's doing like a little Katy Perry thing or whatever, or Willy Wonka, whatever.
I got a really
he has the right
important
to do it.
question though about this though, and this is the most important part. Do we like the design of the shoe?
No, I want it. I don't like the little golden
shoe. I can't even lie.
The pentagram was forced, because if you take that off the shoe, what else do you have? You have red and black shoe.
You got the blood.
One drop. Now,
I like the cavernous.
What kind of blood is it? Wait a sec. Hold on. My mind is blown. He's getting the blood from the corpses Armie Hammer eats.
Oh my god.
One little bite.
Apparently, this is drawn from MSCHF employees.
Who?
Yeah, the people the artists who designed it or something, they make exhibits.
Apparently, Nike wants nothing to do with the shoe. Nike does not condone anything that he's done, and they don't want to be associated with it, even though it's a Nike Air shoe.
Yeah, you see what I don't like about it is that he used the Air Max 97s, and those joints were already fire. So I probably would have looked at the shoe.
And now people might not want to buy the whole brand over this controversy.
I'm like, man, well, I'm still going to buy Air Max 97s because those are hot.
So now my question is, are people removing the pentagram? Because it looks like it might have been like part of the shoelace area that you might be.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was like a medallion that's part of the shoelaces.
Isn't it like those like beads that you can like pop out?
So my question to you is, can't you just take it off and it just be a normal shoe?
It looks like you could.
The blood.
Yeah.
The blood.
Blood.
Where's the blood though? Isn't like in the inside of the shoe?
No,
it's like in the sole.
It's the color.
Like the jelly part, right? Like under the heel, I think.
Oh.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it's like a thing in the bottom filled with blood.
I also what I read, and I sent you an article that was a follow up of a story I actually saw, so it may have had updated information, but I think it was still speculative as to whether or not it was just a marketing ploy or they really put human blood in there. So I don't know.
Right. I mean, it could totally be. You have to think about it this way. So they only made 666 pairs, of course. It costs $1,018 per pair.
That's
And-
another thing too.
And
That's
that's based off
affected-
the biblical verse or whatever.
Right, which is like 10:18 or whatever.
Oop,
So
Yeah,
it's
already that has more depth in the
sounding-
song and music.
This is all.
Stop,
It's
baby
just
girl.
marketing and gimmicks. I think
It is absolute marketing because also there's a picture of the bottom of the box, and it's like naked bodies all crawling around. It kind of looks like demonish.
demonic. Yeah.
Exactly, but
Yeah, I think that there was to say what you have all said probably better than I could ever say it. Is there was a real opportunity to have another conversation that we just can't have, and wherever we fall on it individually, I don't feel like this video opened up to that conversation.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's starting the wrong conversation because now it's as if we have to say that the Satanistic visualizations and stuff have to be okay if we're going to be inclusive. We're forced to say something when it's not even bringing a real conversation. It was just to lap dance it on the devil.
It was just
I mean,
right.
I did enjoy that part a little.
I mean, I thought like the braids and everything, and when he was sliding down the pole, like
Yeah, when
doing
he was sliding down the
was
pole,
like-
that was
I thought that
awesome.
was.
I thought that was cool because part of me wonders if he was actually taught like how to like.
No, that's all green
properly.
screen. That's just one pose and like the camera following him around. I thought.
I mean, it would kind of be
Matte
cool
work.
otherwise.
I think it was matte
What?
work, I think, or something like that. Like the,
It could.
Wait,
The-
so did you
I
guys
have to
know
say
that?
that the patent leather thigh high stiletto heels, it always just makes me think of Patrick.
They should sell
Patrick Star
those.
Who?
from like Patrick Star from freaking SpongeBob when he wears the stiletto boots. I always
Oh
like
my God.
I could not get it out of my head. It was the pink hair. It was just it made me think of Patrick Star.
So one of the artists that donated their blood was a virgin, and they got paid the same as everyone else. How do
That's
you guys
some
feel about
bullshit.
that?
It should have only
It's
been.
a lie.
Isn't that like the whole thing?
I lied.
Like,
Can you tell when I
But
lied?
but it's also still some bullshit if that was the case.
I was gonna say it should only
but I
be
would
the
say
blood
pay
of
the
the
virgin
virgin.
more,
That's
right?
what they always say.
Yeah, that's what they always say. That's the
Yeah, I'm gonna go
sacrifice.
the J-Lo route. I only want the blood of virgins in my bath. Like Armie Hammer's busy wasting his time on
No, because they're
the
sluts.
used.
Okay,
But yeah,
so speaking of other things that we can waste our time on, let's get to our final round of questionables for the evening. To close things
I've
out.
been waiting for this.
I'm
So
worried.
it's-
Am I supposed to come up with questions?
No, I have them. I got it. We're good.
Perfect. Okay.
I was like,
All right,
I'm gonna
so-
make one up.
It's so funny that we started the whole episode with this moment of Sheyne and Mrs. Met because the question is, what do things with or what do women with things? I can't even say it.
Take two.
The answer is Armie Hammer.
The answer is always going to be Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer for 300.
What do women with junk in their trunk have a hard time doing?
Living.
That is, or have an easy time doing?
Sitting down is easy because you can do it anywhere and it'll be comfortable.
Oh, I was gonna say it's more uncomfortable because you'd have limited seating opportunities.
Well, I don't know what it's like to have the junk in the trunk, so I assume
I
that
was
it's
just-
not fun.
All right,
to
what
not have
level
it,
of
'cause I know
junk
how
are we
hard it is
talking
to
about?
sit down.
What,
Like-
are we talking
whatever-
about waist? Or are we
Are
talking
we
about
talking like
But-
Sonny Kiss's ass, Anthony Recker's ass, Jennifer Lopez's ass, like
the trifecta.
I feel like
I'm at the bottom of the shelf.
Mrs.
that's
Met's
the-
ass?
is it a shelf though?
Is it a show?
It's
See, I don't know. I look
I don't
at.
know what
I,
it's like to have a
I might
body.
judge my junk a little bit differently, but I also look at the waist. You know, like there are a lot of people that have butts who do not necessarily have waists, and like there's a difference. Oh, hips. I mean, they're not hippie. Like
Darius just said, and they deserve to die. Wow. Wow.
They deserve to be sent to Armie Hammer's home.
I
Oh,
did
dear
not say
God.
that, but you know, there are people out there that
For
turn to
bloodletting.
the side and just like, oh, I
For
did
the
not realize
show.
that you for
Okay, I have to
carrying
say,
on.
and this is not me tooting my own horn. I've been on various dates before, Jay, and they always tell me they get really surprised when they finally walk behind me, because in none of my pictures do I show my backside. And so I've gotten many people say, it's a nice surprise. And I'm like...
On the first date, they say this to you?
Oh, yeah.
Icing on the
They're saying this on your first date?
Oh, yeah.
No wonder
That's
you were
why
single
it's
for so
not-
long.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
that's why none of them made it. There's a reason that this Jay.
Some
And
rude
you
ass
would-
shit.
I would notice them hang back on purpose. And I'm just like...
Like, I dropped my shoelace. There's a quarter here, so.
Shoelace.
Well, Ashley, did you ever wonder why even when we were the home team, we'd stand in the third base dugout?
Baseball joke. I get it. I get it now because the booty analogy here. That makes so much more sense. I was hanging out in right field.
You still are.
I've had that problem in baseball as well. When I first started playing Zog Sports, I started playing in New Jersey, and there was a guy who was co-captain with me, and he admitted that there would be times he would drop the ball because he was in the outfield and I was pitching, that he would just drop everything because he'd be staring at my ass. And I'm just like, this is not how we play the game.
I don't think I've ever
You
had that
missed.
situation. I'm usually being stared at because I'm doing something inappropriate.
Like,
There you go.
what?
Not just because of my butt.
I mean, Ashley,
It's the whole
you
package.
should see. Ashley has a slide face first because I once saw her slide into second base. Instead of sliding, it kind of just went like a gummy bear. She kind of like skipping rocks on a pond. She was like boing, 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 and she
But
missed.
that's easier for
She
her.
overslid
That might be
entirely,
more so
and she
because
ended up
I-
in left field. It was sad. It was and we lost the
yeah,
game.
okay. That did not
It was
happen.
awful. It happened.
But I also don't know how to slide properly.
And that's why.
So that could also be
Because
why.
it gets in the way.
She'll come out with
It's
one full
not-
one and one half one after she slides enough times.
I mean, at that point, if you don't know how to slide, just like try to just roll yourself. Like I just feel like like
Crawl.
a magnet. Like
Was she Sonic the Hedgehog?
I'm at like rolling pin, like this.
Okay,
Just pretend that Armie Hammer is coming for you.
So just like this.
Do you think
Just
Armie
collecting all
Hammer
of the
seeks
dirt
out
in
girls
the
with
dust.
bigger booties for more of the meat?
I'll just remember to do this.
That's what he
and,
should have been doing. He wouldn't have been in as much trouble.
So Ashley can never go see an Armie Hammer movie.
I think he was biting bony people, and they might have been getting upset. I may or may not be true. I don't know. If he's a bad guy, then he's absolutely a bad guy. but
Speculation.
It's hard to make jokes because I'm like, ooh, out of context, these could be really bad clips.
True. What was the question?
All right, if you were a female with junk in your trunk, what would you have a hard time doing?
Darius.
Why does it go right to me? I
don't
just
know.
keep having the image of like somebody like walking by a table with like full glasses of
Oh,
water.
yeah.
And just
That is the problem. I have to step on my tippy toes so that I'm not touching the table. Because otherwise I'll go right by, and it happens all the time in New York because the tables are like right next to each other.
And she's like, that's
And
why I
have,
love
like, a
social
whole new
distancing.
appreciation for my
But I was gonna
life.
say the same
It's like
thing.
50% forever.
I
Capacity.
didn't know how good I had it.
It's a short person problem, but also like another problem.
Yeah, I feel like I had the same problems for different reasons.
But I've
Yes,
also knocked
I
things over with
feel
my
you, Emma.
booty at the table, so I don't know if
I
that
just
says about me.
fling my arms in ways that I shouldn't be doing.
I didn't know.
I like to spin around like a
I got
princess
this from
when
the
I wanna
other
go put
side.
something
And I was like,
All right, so what was Tati's answer? Putting on jeans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's Bex's
Beyonce sings
answer?
that. Beyonce, another Beyonce reference. I feel like
She's
once the
a-
show now, I'm gonna drop Beyonce in there.
Wow.
Just because. But Beyonce, she says, if you don't jump to put jeans on, baby, you don't feel my pain.
Word.
Like, that's a Savage remix. Anywho.
Dead ass. I agree with that.
We got president of the fan group here. You know
I know-
a lot about Beyonce.
Listen.
You know what's funny is that he
Other than
went
her
after
acting,
Beyonce
she's
and I
great.
went after Armie Hammer. Shows who's the real man here. Because
Wait, things are getting
Wow.
no, I'm not. No, I'm insulting myself, not you. You went after
went
someone
after
with a
her.
fan base. I went after someone who like is one like
on the
E
decline.
list? What was it? What would you call? What list would he be on? A, B, C,
don't
D,
know.
or
He
F?
wouldn't be on a list.
He would have been on a B list if he didn't fuck it up.
Wait.
He's probably on like the
for
guest
acting.
list.
I thought you meant like on a sleeping list. I'm like, what? I mean,
No, he'd probably be on the guest list
Hey.
at a funeral though.
duh. Until he
So
starts
he's like,
talking
I
weird, then
revised
he just tells me he
my
has to go.
list.
You just don't fall asleep around him. That's it.
Kathy, is he on your
You'll
list?
wake up.
Just
with
don't
like
die
a
around
toe
him.
Or
Missing
something like
no.
you
You'd
needed a little
wake
midnight snack.
You'd wake up in the bathtub like missing a kidney or something, and then you'd
Or
like
he
find
could
out
be,
you
like-
have like beef and like or what do you have in the morning? Like steak and eggs, and it wouldn't be steak.
Oh, that's not
It'd be
nice
like
because
it'd
he's
be
not
like the
gonna
end
do
of
it.
Hannibal, or he just feeding you
Don't
your
ruin
own
it for me.
brain.
Oh, did you
What?
not watch
Sorry.
I mean the movie, not the show.
The movie.
Armie, sorry.
He'd be like
I was
Gollum.
just
He'd be
saying-
like you're in the bathtub, like Ashley said. He's on the side with your liver, like Gollum, like.
Like, look.
That's if you woke up.
My precious. Yes.
Good.
They're
Excellent.
all fucking crazy.
Quit your job and just do that. Like, what if he wanted to like harvest my fat? It'd be like free
I mean, he
liposuction all the
can
way.
have. He
That's
can
a
have
win-win.
my fat.
That's a
Yeah.
win-win.
He could
Like,
make soap,
Just take my
like in
Cheetos.
Fight Club.
Yeah, like he could just do the love handles a little.
Sure.
And then if he's too full, puts a little junk in the trunk so I could have the gene problem that everybody's
So I
bragging
have
about.
two answers now
Yeah,
for
I'm gonna knock
Ashley.
over the glass.
My first answer is women with big butts have a hard time getting away from Armie Hammer because he wants the extra
I
meat.
doubt it.
2, wiping their ass after they take a shit.
No.
Oh.
This is why I have the white meat. No, I'm kidding.
Well, think
I
about
feel
it.
like it would
If
still
it's
be
like
this, isn't it the same? Wouldn't it be the same job? I mean,
no,
I would
because
just
all right,
want you to have
look.
longer
Here we go.
arms.
Here we go.
Another demonstration.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
a canyon is a canyon no matter how big the peaks between them are.
Okay, look.
Right?
Here we go. So
You're not gonna.
Oh God.
Okay, so
God, I know.
let's take.
Can you wait?
Let's hang on. Let's take a flat ass, right?
Oh.
No.
So this is a flat ass. There's really no depth to it at all. So when the cheeks are always going to stick out a little bit. I know because it's white, it's hard to see because the light is like really
You guys
fucking
are saying
bright.
that Armie Hammer is bad, but look at this guy. Come on.
Hang on.
You know, Beks,
No.
you're bringing up some
Wait.
good
Are
points.
you gonna put?
So
No, don't. Oh, I thought.
No.
I thought he was
No.
gonna.
I thought you were going to-
listen to me. I'm making sense here.
In the
So-
chocolate chip.
So
I
here's
definitely thought he-
so here's a flat person's ass. When they wipe, they gotta spread the cheeks, wipe the hole, and then like a little bit on the sides here because it passed through that canal when on the bowl. Now someone with a big butt has all this before you see all this cheek coming out that the poop kind of like
No,
pushes
Worked at
through
assisted living
And he
place.
did it.
and
No.
goes through,
But can
and
you
so
wipe
they
the
have
bottom?
all this cheek
Adults?
that has like what do you call it when collateral damage in war? So like the collateral side damage of poop on the side of it. So they've got to waste twice the paper, twice the time, spread twice as far, twist twice as far back. I feel for them.
You
I
ruined the
promise you.
cookie.
I promise you,
You are the
Beyonce.
worst Miss Frizzle I have ever met.
Oh, absolutely.
That's gonna
Like,
be your name
Magic
for this
School
episode, Miss Frizzle.
Magic school bus to the butt. It's like,
Magic school butt.
But does it not make sense though?
It makes sense, but I'm sad. I'm really upset that it does.
oh,
I don't want to know these things.
All right, Rebecca,
All right,
what's your
well,
answer?
Next, give her answer.
Thanks.
I don't know. I don't know
This is
what's
only answer one, right?
I said
Or question one.
sitting is good. What would be hard is demonstrations
What?
by
What?
Sheyne about your butt. Demonstrations by Sheyne about your butt.
I thought you said
It's valid.
something else.
No, I said something else. She said what would be hard. I'd be like Sheyne
I
because
thought you said
I love a
COVID
big ass.
demonstrations on your butt.
COVID
That is
demonstrations.
easier with a bigger butt.
That's probably a
Wait,
good
Coke?
thing. A shelf.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know.
You can rest your
See,
drink
I
back
actually
I
there.
only played Amy Winehouse.
I went to school with a girl who was known for being able to balance books on her butt
God bless her.
and like on her hips. It was very interesting.
I mean,
If she left her book bag at home.
I used to bartend, and there was a woman that she got her butt done. It was obvious because her proportions were really off. But it was, I mean, I don't think I ever saw a butt so big or out of proportion that I was like, I felt bad for her boyfriend. I just didn't know. I didn't know. I think he would have a very difficult time. I don't know. It just seemed like so much. It was just so much butt. Like he could get lost in it. I was just
yes, that's the point.
What do you do?
Oh I mean, God, you can do so much more.
I thought like I was, you gotta look at the rooms in there. I don't know what's going on.
That?
I'm just saying you can get lost in it. Do I need to about the paper towels again?
No, we're not going to.
Okay.
What did you just try to?
I didn't know.
Next question.
I thought this question is giving me deep bags under my eyes. I'm traumatized.
Did everyone give an answer? Or are we moving on to second?
Yes.
Okay.
We are moving on to question number 2.
The booty buster will get us there.
Okay. So, significant other is lying in bed with you. Yes?
Hannah?
You are asleep.
Mm-hmm.
What would they hear you say in your sleep?
Don't bite my toe, Armie Hammer. Don't bite my toe, Armie Hammer. Don't you do it.
Like when, though? Just like
just
one
randomly,
time you
like,
talk or
like you speak in your sleep. What does the person next to you hear?
What would be the thing that you would say in your sleep that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's see. I was gonna go another route. I was gonna go.
Followed by that. It's like a musical. It's snoring with farts.
That's straight up elephant.
Words. That's not speaking.
No. Things that you do with your mouth and not that one, Darius.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's probably
Words.
what she would hear.
Words that come out of your mouth.
Well, he does talk out his
And I
ass.
had to clarify that because Sati was like, what?
So I guess for you, Darius, it'd be like, oh no, at best, yes, oh no. Something like that.
Absolutely not.
No.
If it happens in your sleep, you don't apologize.
You know what Janine would hear? I love you, Beyonce. I do.
No.
love
It'd
you.
be something related to like glaze and donuts. That's what I imagined for Darius.
I'm not.
Has your boyfriend told you? Oh, I thought you meant for you.
Donuts
no,
are
not
gonna
me.
love
I said
me
for
after.
Darius.
Oh.
See, it's funny. I don't know if I've ever. See, now I'm putting her business out there. I don't care. Leave this in here. Leave this in there. I feel like, well, no, actually, she hasn't done it. My brother, like when we were younger, he would have like
he
full-on
backtracked quick on that.
He was like, nah, she killed me.
Conversations, and he'd be like, no, mister, leave me alone. I'm like, what is? Like he would have like.
Did you save him ever though?
No, he stays asleep. No.
I have done.
You didn't record him?
In my sleep, and my sister
did.
has heard me. And to this day, if you ask her, one of the ones she'll tell you about is that she's on the phone with her man in the middle of the night, and I'm sleeping. So at some point, I get up. Her name's Tasha, and I go, Tash, we gotta go. We gotta hurry up. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? And I'm like, the brown heads, the brunettes, they're leaving us behind. And she's like, what are you talking about? We have to go. I'm like, they're leaving us. And then I went right back to sleep. Still have no idea what I was dreaming of that day.
That is great.
So is the
What would
question
I say?
framed like, what's something you would like what's something you dream about that's like you might repeatedly say, like it's a common thing?
No.
I would
Or
The
just
person
something you
next to
said.
you- Yeah, the person next to you just hears you talking in your sleep. What did you say?
I'd say something that'll get me in trouble.
Which
Like
is?
what?
Your mother wants things for someone.
Rebecca, Hannah
Something
just
weird
took a
like
big
that
shit.
that I would probably get hit for.
Gross.
Which is?
Gross on.
Oh.
You just said a big shit. Sorry, that's why I said
Oh
gross.
no!
not 'cause
Oh,
of
I
taste.
was.
Sheyne's always talking about his big shits.
It's always pooping butts with you, man.
Yeah. And
Last week,
elaborating
your
on the
cat took a
butts
huge
of-
shit, Rebecca. And you were
I
smelling
do not
it.
recall.
Of course, because you were lit.
I played the fifth.
Well,
The
there's
glove
video
does not
evidence.
fit. I do know it.
It's online. A whole whopping 49 people have seen it. So Tati, what is it you say?
Oh, I said I would say fuck your mother.
Fuck your mother. She sounds like a taxi. What are you, you dream about being a taxi driver in 1976? Like, hey, fuck your mother, Mac. Where you headed? How about them Yankees?
It's it's a dream. It's a dream. You don't know what's going on in there.
That's true. So Darius, what would your partner hear you say?
Probably some variation of me saying no to something. Like no. Like no.
So prepared to say no. Don't you dare.
It's just no.
It's Armie Hammer trying to get at that.
Yeah, right.
Armie Hammer,
Is it a toe?
Beyonce,
Riff?
Lion King.
No to Beyonce.
Wait.
No,
It's
Beyonce
Armie.
and Lion King. It's like no.
Not Nala.
Oh, no.
Beks?
No. He'd be saying no to Armie's hammer.
Oh,
No. See, there it is, right there. No.
There it is.
laying it down.
Okay, can
Don't
I take a
talk
guess at what Bex would say?
Mm.
We're out of liquor. Help. We're out of liquor. No. And you wake up in a cold sweat.
I think
And that sweat
usually
is
my
99%
weird dream
proof.
things, like I talk in my sleep a lot. Most of my worst dreams are like I'm dreaming that I'm working and I have to go through all these weird ass spreadsheets and do bitch work for hours. I'm like working in my dream, which is awful, which is why I try to drink before I go to bed because it helps. If not that, I have like these freak accident dreams where it's like the same dream over and over again. All my dreams are always like about being trapped, and it's like I'm trying to rescue the cat or stop the stupid shelf from falling on the cat's head, or the cat is in the oven. That is like the one. It's like take the cat out the oven. How to get in the oven? Like that is like the number one thing. My boyfriend makes fun of me all the time. He turns the oven on. He's like, oh wait, where's Catechus? I haven't seen him for a while. You know?
I'd murder him.
Yeah, that's what my dreams are like. But I've always been like a really weird lucid sleeper. Like one time my mom was roasting chicken thighs, like broiling them or whatever, which is like my favorite food. I was waiting for her to finish doing it. It takes hours because it's like delicious and shit. And I remember waking up and I was like, what's going on? It was like my mom, and she was in front of me with a plate of chicken. And I was like, oh, it's done. Awesome. She's like, we've been talking for a while. You've been eating the chicken. I was like, no, it's done now. Can I have some? She's like, you ate 4 pieces already. I was just seeing how long you could go. Like, I would, like, eat in my sleep, wake up in weird places. This is before I started drinking or anything. Straight up, like, baby Rebecca acting crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I fall asleep all the time, though. But people think it's because, like, I'm, like, drunk or on drugs or something. Like, it's not even just that. Just sometimes like the regular.
It's not only that. I mean,
So you're just crazy in general.
Yeah, no, like when I sleep, I can talk. I have full-on conversations with my eyes open, looking normal.
I'm more of a vivid dreamer. I'm like the person that can remember my dreams when I wake up a lot. Like it'll be like, in the bathroom in the morning, like, what the fuck was that about?
Are they good, or like would you want to remember them? Or
some of them are pretty good. Like I've had like zombie apocalypse kind of dreams. I've also been chased by vegetables at some point. So like I have some really weird ones.
You've been chased. I was chased by teeth on my feet. It was very like horror movie, like I fell like typical like person running from the monster. Falls on the ground and like I'm backing up and the tree trunk's behind me and I'm trying to kick the chicken and it keeps pecking at my fucking I woke up like, what the fuck is going on?
I very seldom remember my dreams.
I remember mine all the time.
I always remember.
That's a good portion of the stuff that drives my writing or random dreams and I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah, I learned to do that because of how crazy mine were. Like I was dreaming I was being chased by a car and all I could remember was that I was wearing really ugly denim pointed toe heels while I was running, and that's all I looked at was the heels, and I kept telling myself how much I hated them while I was in a panic because a car was going to hit
I blame Beyonce for this dream too. Sorry.
Well, so I had a dream
Beyonce
recently.
for what? What are you blaming Beyonce for?
Stilettos. She definitely wore denim stilettos at some point in the 2000s.
Like, Darius,
denim on denim.
I think
Either that
she's
or
thinking of
Britney.
Beyonce, Darius. I think she swung at her.
So
It's okay. Have that.
I had a recent dream about the dog because I would like to get a puppy at some point. And at some point, I went out and I was with a bunch of people. And Beks, you were there.
I was in your dream. You're
Yeah,
dreaming
you were in
about
my
your
dream.
wedding. Oh my god.
So because we were out drinking.
This is why you have a big butt. This is why you're blessed with a big butt, because look at the dreams you're having. If you do it, it's so fun.
So
I'm so touched.
we're out drinking, and I was like, man, I
Of
should
course
go
I'm there.
home and check on the dog. And I was like, nah, you know what? I was like, somebody will take care of it, and I just couldn't remember who. And at some point, I go home and I envisioned the dog there, but the dog's not there.
Because Bex was watching and it was in the oven.
It didn't get that far,
Salmonia?
but Samoy.
Samoy. Sorry, I was thinking about
They're the
Jason
white
Momoa.
little fluff- no.
Now you made me think of Jason
They're
Momoa
the
instead of
white
Samoa.
fluffy things.
They
it's
are
like
cute.
teddy bear.
But
It's fun.
the
Did I
dream,
make you drink more? Was I fun?
no, but you were waiting outside on my porch, waiting for me to come out, and you're just like, yeah, the dog's not here.
You
Yeah,
were
I
the
saw
bearer
the
of
dog.
bad news, Bex. You were the bearer of bad news.
That's
Whatever
news.
dog was
I
missing.
get it.
That's
I was
news.
hoping that I was
also
yeah.
were drinking something.
Well,
That's
You might
nice.
have
surprise.
actually been
Maybe I-
drinking like one of these.
I might have like dream hopped or something. I feel like I'm capable.
Come
of that.
visit. My dreams are interesting.
Yeah, mine are like working or oh god, I had like I always had these like nightmare gonna have a baby dreams like every couple of years. The worst one was where I was in a room and I looked down at the floor and it was like all newborn babies and stuff crawling, and I'm like standing on a chair and I can't leave. And I don't know what to do because like I want to help the babies, but if like I step down, I'm gonna crunch one of the little soft spot heads.
Oh
It was
my
the worst
gosh, you
dream
have
ever.
the worst dreams. You make me feel like I shouldn't go to sleep because I'm gonna dream your dream.
I'm always just scared of hurting things in my dreams. I'm like, I don't want to hurt a baby. Like the worst one this week was like, and I don't usually remember them anymore, but I dreamt. Is that baby noise or is that Hannah? I dreamt that all of a sudden I looked down and I was like 6 months pregnant, and I was like, where is this baby coming from?
I know that's how I feel. Like
Yeah, and so I was
Darius is looking around like, what the fuck?
So in this dream, I'm just like 6 months pregnant, and I'm like, how did I get here? It's too late to make any decision either way. And I'm like, dang, I was like, I don't want to hurt this baby. I'm going to just have to have this baby and sell it on the black market. Like, I was so sad. I was so sad. I was like, what am I going to do with this baby? I just want to have a cat. Or give it up for adoption for money. I don't know.
No. You went straight to the black market.
You have to be prepared for anything, but I don't ever want to be in your mind when you're dreaming, girl, because that's
It
a
was
real
not
dream.
fun.
I mean,
There's some hot ones though.
I
but
dreamed like
that was
karate.
not
I
fun.
karate moved people. Like, I had like a karate scene. Yeah. Like I jumped on his shoulder with like literally like a saddle. Like I.
Oh, like you do the
and
twisty
I
thing?
cracked his whole shoulder with my thigh. Like I watched
Okay,
way
Mortal
too much.
Kombat. Sheyne, what do you got to say?
Well, my dreams are extraordinarily vivid, and it ranges from like absolute failure in life and feeling like nothing and everyone's dead around me and I'm like miserable, to demons trying to get them. I get that sleep paralysis thing where it feels like a demon is coming into you and you're like fighting the demon off. And like I love how like most people describe it as a feeling like a demon or a spirit is trying to enter your body, even though it's just really the chemicals in your brain releasing it so you don't sleepwalk and hurt yourself and whatnot. But you can feel the paralysis taking over. So I get that a lot. So sometimes I guess you would probably hear like no, or Like no, again, like just being like fighting it off, like no.
That sounds like a Lil Nas X music video.
Very like that's what the video should have been.
Demons on you.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's something. Is it like they portray in like those exorcism movies, like when they talk about? Am I supposed to? Is this?
No, it's just okay. You're eating it.
No, Tati, get closer. 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 Closer.
I can't. I'm gonna be behind it if I.
I know you have to get.
All right, now talk.
Let the mic get into you.
Yeah.
Be one with the mic.
Tell me you got pictures of that.
Well, I'm recording it. Yeah.
I didn't screenshot you this time.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm recording you, so we can just take a screenshot of that.
So Sheyne, do the demons twerk on you in your sleep?
I wish.
Good question.
I wish. No. They view me apparently the way Ashley does, like don't wear like a low cut shirt to work kind of thing. They're just like, nah, I just want your soul. I don't want your body. Which is why I always end up being someone's friend.
That might mean that you have a good soul.
No, it means this is why I always end up in the friend zone ultimately, or people are just like I'm a body wash. They wash me off and they discard me. That's what it is.
Okay, to all the ladies out there who might be potentially interested in Sheyne, Beks and I are taking applications for him, and we'll be.
That's me being a one woman.
Okay, so this was maybe next week, and today, tomorrow, maybe next week we'll actually do our ending on time instead of going on severe tangents that none of you can see.
Maybe next week we won't cut out the last hour of footage because it's TMI.
So maybe next week I'll have a point.
Maybe next week the booty won't lie.
Maybe next week Sheyne will accidentally assault Mrs. Matt.
I think we should just do this.
Maybe next week I'll demonstrate some more body parts on paper towels for you all.
Oh God!
You have to do this though, Sheyne. You have to.
Okay, take two. Maybe next week I'll demonstrate some more human body parts with paper towels.
Serious?
And maybe next week I'll go an episode without mentioning Beyonce.
No. I thought you were.
Maybe next week Darius will have the donuts back.
No.
Maybe next week.
The ending is rough.
Well,
maybe next week Armie Hammer will eat my toe.
Ooh, that's gonna be the one that gets canceled for sure.
You gotta get.
Maybe next week we won't even be here.
Cut this look.
Maybe I won't.
The first one, the second one.
Number 3.
Wait, I had to cut this part?
The third one. I have the whole fucking.
I have to cut that part?
No.
I'm not cutting this part.
You got the whole gang.
These are just water.
We don't tell.
And it actually took me like 6 hours to drink those.
You know what I'd like to hear from people whenever we decide to have fans? Hashtag maybe next week. Send us some of yours when we have fans. Or
Yeah, we're gonna do like a whole, like you know how they have Bachelor Nation, we gotta be like Procrastination Nation.
Maybe next week.
We'll have it ended.
Procrastination Nation. Wait, that was too many Nation.
Yeah, to you, the fans that we may or may not have.
The fans that we have.
We're stalkers. With all
Because we'll have them.
stalkers.
You guys will come on later. You'll watch these early episodes and be like, "Man, we should have joined sooner." That's what you'll say.
Yeah,
I like that.
Beyonce.
Yeah, and learning how to wipe your butt with a big butt. I mean, priceless.
Maybe next week I won't forget to include someone before I do a transition.
No.
Maybe next week I'll have a question. Now I'm just gonna do anything with maybe next week.
Can you just do it in that voice from now on?
Maybe.
It needs to be
Maybe next week I'll eat my mic.
Maybe next week my mic will get circumcised.
Oh, it just looks unprotected.
Maybe next week she'll take off the protection.
I guess maybe next week you'll find out what I take off when we finish. Maybe next week.
I take it back. I don't like this name anymore. I'm sorry.
We'll see you tomorrow, the next day, or maybe next week.
Maybe next week.